I've covered for you long enough. It might sound a little rough. I'm wearing orange now and so you've Scott, you did this and now Scott. Now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. I asked you where your dad was. Where was Big Daddy? You got so angry when I went to feed the baby goat. Now Scott, now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why.
Shut up.
Where your dad was. Where was Big Daddy? You got so angry when I went to feed the baby goat. Now Scott, now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why.
When she was upset with Gary Lee, she's talking about, she said, my response to
I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why. Now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. Now I know why. It was you, Scott, you, and now I know why. I am hella mad and burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why.
Hello everybody, excited utterance here. My name's Hella and I am hella mad burning with rage, Scott, and now I know why. And we have baby goats in the emojis, guys, and it's a bit smoky around here still. That burn pile just keeps on burning. Just keeps on burning. Good morning, JC the Music Man. Yes, you've caught up with Australian time. It is morning indeed. It is indeed. Hello. MLS is making law simple over there on Twitch because he hates YouTube now. Yes, but you know what? I'd rather have YouTube views. So could you come back? Thanks. I pretty much just stream out to Twitch as a backup. But I know that you are giving up on YouTube again, but you'll be back. You'll be back. You will see. You will remember you belong to me. Yes, the hottest and my favorite Aussie streamer. Why, thank you. I don't have that much competition. I don't have very much competition especially in the hotness department. Hiya, global family. Laura is Aussie. Yes, she is. In fact, I need Aussies to give me ideas for things to put onto my Aussie Christmas stream, which is Wednesday night, 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and the guest list is just exploding. It's busting out of the seams right now. It's looking great. Looking great. I have ideas, but Aussies, please give me more. It's going to be great. Okay, we should get help for that. Alrighty, guys. I'm going to be there. What else do you need? Well, you can show me American things that would surprise me. But I need things from the Aussies, or ask me questions have questions for me about what we do here in Aussie land for Christmas, because I'll tell you all about that. You don't get to go home for Christmas. That sucks. AG, that really sucks. Give me a moment. Why? That's okay. Okay, a Christmas pickle. Sure, why not? It's warm outside today, 10 degrees Celsius. That's warm, is it? That would be me freezing my tits off. Freezing my tits off. A jar of snow. Send Hella a jar of snow. So basically, right now, I get a block of ice out and give it to the dog. And by the time I get it between the freezer and the dog, it's already melted. It's already melted. It's already gone. Yep. American things. So guns. Yeah, sure. Okay. Anyway, I've been buying a couple of things and taking photos of some things to show you guys on Wednesday. But back to Melody Farris. So guess what, guys? Last night before I went to bed, I tuned into YouTube, and guess who was talking about Melody Farris' trial? Lawyer you know, and recovery addict whose name happens to be Scott. So it was kind of funny because everyone in chat was talking about how Scott could be guilty and Scott did this and Scott did that, whereas recovery addict's actual name is Scott, which is quite funny. But it was a premiere, so they weren't responding to comments and chats and things. Anyway, so I was watching recovery addict talk about the trial to Peter Tragos, lawyer you know, and Peter hadn't watched the trial at all, so it was all recovery addict telling him about the trial. And there were about 1,000 people in chat, and they were all discussing, and there were a lot of people in chat who thought that Melody didn't do it, or that the state didn't prove it. There were a few people in chat who were like, no, Scott was cleared. Scott was cleared. Everyone stop talking about Scott. Scott was cleared. And it's like, well, okay, cleared just means that the police decided he didn't do it, and police can screw up, right? Oh, Scott had an alibi for those few hours. Well, what few hours? The police decide what the few hours are. We don't really know when exactly it happened. The biggest problem we have here is, as far as we can tell, and I watched Recovery Addict explain it, there doesn't seem to have been any evidence put forth by the state as to how he ended up on that burn pile, right? It's a big deal. How did this woman get him onto that burn pile? The jury seemed to have to make their own mind up and work it out for themselves how he got onto that burn pile. And he's 300 pounds, this dude. Right, so we have a little bit of a Zachariah Anderson situation here where you've got this giant dude and then you've got a smaller person, and how do you get this person from A to B? And there'd be no evidence of that. So, what case is this, David? Look at the description. Look up here. Georgia versus Melody Farris. What is the background? I think you're just toying with me. What state is the Farris trial in? Georgia. Georgia. Okay, so today what we're going to do is we're going to be looking at testimony from end of day 2, and we're going to skip a bit because I looked at one of the witnesses and he was just useless. All he did was show that they found some of his credit cards on the kitchen counter. So big deal, credit cards, kitchen counter, done. But then we have a crime scene examiner who's going to come in, and we're going to get to see more of the house, guys. So the house is just immaculate, awesome, but we also get to see where there was blood in the house. And so we'll speed through that, but then we get to see the burn pile and the bones. Get ready, guys. It's not for the faint of heart. That's why it's called Pieces of Dad today. Yeah. Get ready. I can't wait. Scott has no motive, though. The only way I can see Scott doing it is heat of the moment if he saw Gary beat Melody. No, that's not true. That's not true. We're going to take a detour on the next episode, and we're going to watch. There was a interview between Vinnie Politan and the defense lawyers. And the defense lawyers explained what he could get out of it. Scott and the other siblings, there was a lot of money involved. There was actually a lot of money that he came to, that Scott could have walked into. There was so much money. And with Melody out of the picture, there was more money in it for him. So this idea of there not being money, no, there was money. There was definitely money. And also, the dad was on him to stop stealing from him. So Scott had been stealing money from the dad for years, stealing his credit cards, stealing access to his bank accounts. Scott had been a troublemaker and had been living on the farm in that barn, mooching off them for a really long time. So both Scott and the defendant, both Gary and Melody were on Scott to stop mooching, right? So getting rid of Gary meant that there was no more mooching for Scott. He could have all of that money for himself and live a happy life without really having to do much. So there was definitely a motive for Scott, definitely. Hey, Berry Berries, good to have you here. Okay, it's definitely a messed up family. Hey, Deanna, how are you? How are you? Yeah. So yeah, it wasn't like an insurance scam or anything like that, but there was considerable estate involved for him. But they cleared Scott. He had an alibi only for a few hours, right? And here's the other problem, beautiful waterfall. We don't know what the few hours were specifically where he was killed, because we don't know exactly where he was killed, and therefore when he was killed. We know when he was found, we know approximately when he went missing, but we don't know exactly when he was killed. So therefore the police cleared him for a few hours when they think he was killed, right? But police mess up. They mess up. We've seen that before, right? So this is all still open to potentially them screwing up and him having been killed a few hours later, a few hours earlier. Who really knows? Yeah, so I'm curious about the alibi when time of death can't really be determined. Exactly, that's what I'm trying to get at. Half Irish. All right, so let's get into it, guys. I'm here for the distraction too, so yeah. Yeah, and my condolences also in regard to that. And free Zachariah Anderson. Free Zachariah Anderson. One thing we all have in common, we can believe in that cause together. Okay, let's get into it. Now, we're going to, I just introduced you to this witness, but we'll skip through her qualifications because they're boring. But I did want to show you the prosecutor, Little Manlet, having a moment with the judge, and the judge trying to work out his boomer issues.
Did you figure it out, Joe? I did. So what do you do?
Took it apart and put it back together.
So there's no way to capture an image from the device itself. You must use a remote because there's zero chance for a device designed for a courtroom, a classroom, boardroom.
Yes, sir.
That's never going to happen. Or
she's like, can you guys sort this out some other time? Oh dear. Okay, right. Good judge. This is my courtroom. I know how the audio visuals work. You are a guest here.
You can try to see if you can angle it so that angle it so it doesn't go in your eyes, and then see if that's better. But you can turn it off. I don't mind you turn it off. Just
what would you? Who would you, E-Man?
when we installed that,
She's a lovely looking old lady.
when we installed that 10 years ago, we had to turn off that light because it cast a shadow on the document camera. And then maintenance came through one day, was like, that bulb's out. We're going to replace it. And they walked up and tightened it back up. And I'm like, yeah,
Yep.
y'all got to get back on a ladder and unscrew that.
Hey, look on. Can
There's
we get
also-
on with this?
This one went to the other one, which I don't know if it'll work.
Oh, for God's sake. All right, that's enough. And now, okay, so there was a big deal made of the fact that when the jury arrived, that she didn't stand for the jury, but also notice that this attorney to her right also didn't stand for the jury. Now, we will watch the interview with the two defense attorneys. This bald guy, this defense attorney, he explained it, and he said that one of his mentors once said to him, the jury is on the same level with your client, and your client shouldn't stand for the jury. So make sure the jury understands that they're not better than your defendant. They're a jury of your peers. So she's acting on his advice not to stand up, right? The other attorney, he's like, just for the record, I stood up every time, right? I think that's terrible advice, especially considering it is a televised trial and she got completely chastised for it. How dare she not stand for the jury? Well, that was his advice. There you go. I thought it was because she had some sort of back pain or something, or she was trying to appear like she was frail, but no.
The drink cup. All right.
Thank you, please, court. State calls Melanie Thrasher. Ms. Thrasher, raise your right hand. You solemnly swear affirm the evidence you about to present in this matter shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Go ahead and have a seat. State your name for the record.
Melanie Thrasher.
Spell it for us if you would, please.
Melaniethrasher.
What is your title at the sheriff's office?
Currently, I'm a crime scene technician.
And how long have you been doing that type of work?
I was certified in 2018.
Dude.
And then I went
He
and
said
it was
it.
extra duty.
I heard him say it. He said it to Vinnie Politan on the interview. He said he told his client not to stand for the jury. Legit. I will play it for you. I will play it for you. He said it. Right? And he didn't stand either. I'm not kidding. Stupid advice. Stupid advice. Yep, not kidding. The bald one. He said that. Okay, so what we're going to do is I'm just going to play like a minute of her introducing herself, and then we're going to flick forward to her actual testimony once, because I think we all kind of know what a crime scene examiner does.
I was also the evidence supervisor. And then in 2022, I went full-time crime scene.
All right, tell the jury if you would, kind of just give a little bit more information about are you a post-certified officer?
No, I'm not.
So kind of did you come in from the civilian side and start working?
Yes, I
Just
did.
kind of give them a story of how you got into it and then how your job progressed and what you actually do.
And this is a second career for me. In 2012, I joined the sheriff's office. I had pursued more education, and I received
Blah,
a
blah,
paralegal
blah, blah,
certificate
blah.
at that time.
Okay, cool. Ilya's here. Come in, Ilya. Hello, come in. I'm fast forwarding. Hi.
No.
Hi. Okay, so I'm just trying to get to the point where she starts talking about the actual evidence, because she does this big long other minor courses. Do you find your job? Science, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, did you hear what I just said about her not standing for the jury?
No, I never listened to what you say though.
Ah.
What, she wasn't standing?
No, the entire time she didn't stand for the jury, and it was actually her lawyer's advice not to stand for the jury.
Oh, really?
Yep, because it's a jury of your peers. So you need to show them that you're on their level.
Mm,
Hmm.
that's idiotic.
Yes.
So
That's
there
beyond
is some
idiotic.
technicalities to it that you definitely need to understand.
So there are standards and things you have to
Yes.
live up to. Do you know Lieutenant Stewart?
Yes.
I'm not going to ask you about him under oath per se, but good guy. You work with him.
She's got
Yes.
a lovely little smile and
Lieutenant
laugh.
Ballard.
Yes.
Let's see. I guess it was it Sergeant or Lieutenant Shaw at the time?
Sergeant.
And then I think
Oh,
you said
I forgot
also
the
Rachel
name.
Eckert, who is now in Florida, used to work with you.
Yes.
And were y'all kind of working, you and Rachel at times, working together and doing stuff?
Yes, we were.
And then they would work together, y'all kind of floating between people at times?
Yes,
But you had certain responsibilities in this case, right?
I did.
I want to turn your attention now to July 5th, that Thursday, 2018. Do you remember about what time you got out at the scene?
Approximately 3:20 p.m.
And do you remember how you got there?
I was tasked with going and getting our big crime scene truck. So I drove it to the scene.
You don't have a police patrol vehicle or anything like that? Is a crime scene
At the
unit
time,
truck?
I did not. Yeah.
What is in this vehicle that you drove out there?
It just contains generally all the things we could possibly need. So any test kits, equipment, things like that.
And when you got out to the scene, what do you remember seeing when you first got out there?
Hey, narcissist.
It was a very bucolic setting. It was very pretty, reminiscent of where I used to work. Horses. I saw the barn across the field. Came up to the house, parked, very nicely landscaped.
Were you surprised to be working a murder there?
Yes.
When you first arrived, what
God.
level or what stage were you at
Thought that'd
and
be
what type of investigation was
It's
going
really.
There were quite a few personnel there, but Rachel and I were very new, so we were tagging along behind Lieutenant Ballard and Sergeant Shaw. So we followed them to the back of the house just to do a cursory preview, and the area had been cordoned off with tape.
Did you go out to the burn pit?
Yes.
Do you remember what it was like?
It was still smoldering a little bit. I was told it was still hot. I couldn't tell you for sure who determined that. But it didn't appear to have much left that was unburned.
Was the task for the crime scene technicians, was it broken up to certain kind of divide and conquer things at the scene?
Yes.
I think Lieutenant Stewart was doing
Yeah.
like the barn and the tractor, and then other people were at the burn pile. I think Shaw was there. What were you tasked with doing?
Once we determined that we were going to wait on the state anthropologist to come assist, I was tasked with photographing the exterior and interior of the residence, just taking overall photos.
I can't
Some of the
believe
things
how
we're going to
slow
talk
this
about. So
is.
you
I'm on
took
1.85.
outside photographs. Is that
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
And then at some point you went inside to help process. I think
This is why I hate
Kind of
talking
from
to Southerners. No
kitchen,
offense.
the basement
Thanks.
door to the steps.
Yes.
And then there's some, what I'm calling some blood trails or blood droppings down in the basement that you were.
Look at that.
The stairs themselves and also in the basement floor.
Correct.
And then you help
What's
package
it like on normal?
everything and transport everything. And I believe, for the most part, I think you came back another day and would collect a bunch of cartridge cases and things like that.
the
That
same.
was
What's
well
going on? That's weird.
after the
How
time
refreshing.
period.
But I believe like almost a year later, a little over a year later, came back and collected some firearms, ammunition, and other things there.
Yes.
And that was on the back side of the property, is that right?
Yes. The north, if I'm north.
Hang on. Let's just see. There's no way that was on 1.9, right, guys?
stretch where we're bringing.
I mean, they are Southern, so it wouldn't surprise me.
Hang on. I can get to the same point.
Look, no offense, but whenever I have to talk with somebody in the South, they take forever to say like the simplest thing.
In other words, things that were online that showed how the house looked with furniture and without furniture.
Yes.
Out says Thrasher 1 through 288.
Okay, that's
You get an opportunity- Are all those fair and accurate photographs, as you know, to be in this case?
Yes.
This is time we retrieve the evidence. Thrasher 1 through Thrasher 288.
Isn't that weird? Why would it not work?
Probably just a glitch.
You can either look at these or they're.
Let's go!
If you
Photos.
want to look at it. Hopefully you can see on the screen.
Oh God, you just know he slipped in a couple of himself in a Speedo. Oh, sorry. That was for my OnlyFans
So I plan to
tryout.
kind of walk through the evidence, but arrange in such a way that we can kind of talk about it as we go. But this is Thrasher 1. Tell us what we're seeing here.
As you come in the driveway
one.
from the road, this would be your first view of the house.
Thrasher 2, this pine tree in the middle, can you kind of point to the front door of the residence? Or just, I'll move my mouse, is it right here?
Yes.
Thrasher 3, if you're standing on that main floor, that deck that has that round part to it, is this what you would be looking at?
Yes, looking towards the barn.
Thrasher 4, what do we have here?
I
Thrasher?
believe, oh, that's from the front door.
That's
looking
her
out.
name.
Oh.
And this is one of those that was from online for the house.
Yes.
If I was opening that front door, this is Thrasher 5, if I'm standing there and looking at this photograph 5, what is in front of us here?
As you walk in the door, that's your first view, is the stairs that go up, or the stairs to upstairs.
If I was standing there and I took a step to the right, what am I going to see?
The kitchen.
If I took a step to the left, what would I see?
There's a short hallway to a guest bath, and then there's a mudroom and a laundry room.
And then those doors right there, halfway down that wall, what is that area there?
It was
Pause.
at the time sort of a library
Real quick.
room.
Mavka, the real pain at working at GoDaddy was dealing, believe it or not, with Australians.
Apparently.
I freaking hated them. I was racist against Australians for years because I worked at GoDaddy. They would call in and they were the biggest assholes you would ever meet. Every time it was just, oh my God, why are you being such an asshole? And then I got to know hella and realized it's the entire country.
Yep.
But no, like, oh yeah, like they would call up because I worked the 3:30 to midnight shift. So that's like Australian morning.
Yeah.
So yeah, we would get a ton of them. And yeah,
3:30 to midnight. Yeah, okay.
My
That's
time.
That's not Australian morning.
well, it's like
3:30
8 your clock,
AM
8 your time to afternoon.
Oh, it's afternoon. It's
Yeah.
it's our afternoon. Yeah. I'll tell you a secret. Most
Yeah.
Australians think Americans are dickheads.
That's fair. So you were racist back to me.
So we were, I did, like, we would have found you would have probably met a lot of Australians who are like, oh, goddamn Americans.
Oh, okay. So like us with an Indian call center.
Pretty much. Pretty much.
So we're just racist against everyone.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, we're racist against each other. Yeah. Till we get to know one another.
Yeah,
Realize we're all not so bad.
I know.
Or some of you are.
And if I walk down that hallway to the back of the house, would I go to the master bedroom?
Yes.
This house is
Looking back, just
amazing.
looking back to the front door.
Correct.
7, just looking at an angle going towards the kitchen where a kitchen table is going to be. Is that right?
Yes. Yes.
Look at the kitchen.
8, what's this here?
Looking back from the front wall of the house towards the kitchen and then into a family room type area past the kitchen.
I was standing in this photograph as it appears, and I would walk left. Would I be walking to the front door?
Yes.
Now, orient that there's a fireplace on
Right,
that far wall down there. Is that
berries.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Now, going to that
It's pretty
fireplace and standing,
embarrassing.
is this the view you would see in 8? Excuse me, yes, 9. Looking back.
Correct.
Kind of moving the fireplace to my back to the left. Is this another view? So you see those other doors going out to the other side of the house.
Yes.
Now, I'm not sure technically if you drive up the driveway and go through, if you could drive through the garage, that's kind of, to me, is kind of north. So you got the east side, which is the pond on, and the west side. But both sides of this house had a deck, is that right?
Yes.
One over the pond is round, the other one's not.
Correct.
All right, looking at 11, where we're standing here, I walk down this hallway with the library or study room be on my right,
Yes.
and then what is the door here to the left that's open? Where does that lead to?
That goes down to the basement.
Where this is at, I have a
Hi,
mouse.
how's it going?
And did you find what you believe to be blood or blood droppings?
Yes, on the, just closest to the, where the landing ends before you go downstairs.
We do,
I believe they're about
Max.
12 steps down. There's a landing, you turn right, and 4 steps down. Is that right?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you found, what type of blood evidence or evidence you find on those steps.
It appeared to be blood that possibly was attempted to be, or someone tried to clean it up, possibly. It was very dilute looking.
And then once you got on the floor down below, is this the basement where there's a bar?
Yes,
Now, if I walked out the steps and stood off the steps, the bar was in front of you,
yes,
and then kind of to the right is the living room area.
yes,
This is Thrasher 13. I'm standing what I call those the American doors. They kind of just slide like this.
Yes.
You know, I call them the American doors. You slide. If I'm standing in front of those doors, looking back to the steps, is the steps right here where this pointer is?
correct,
And then this hallway, if you went down that, would that have been Gary's bedroom?
correct.
And if you came down this hallway, it would lead to his office,
And the media room,
media room, movie room.
yes,
Standing number 14, if I'm standing
at
kind of at the steps, this is the area here that we're going to be talking about.
yes. Had a couch and chair.
That's just like the
This is
basement kind of area.
From
And
the
look how
internet
gorgeous
for the
it
house,
is.
but this is Thrasher 15. At the bottom of this photograph, what is here that I've got the pointer on?
The garage,
And then there's a, I guess a mudroom and laundry room you're referring to.
yes,
Porch, the front door here.
correct.
Standing at the front door again. Turn right, goes to what area?
The kitchen area,
Turn left, comes down to, I think it's the bathroom here.
yes.
Walk down hallway. What do we have here?
The study or library,
You go up the steps, you go to the second floor.
correct.
Yeah. Huge
Deck
doors
on
to
this
the
left
outside,
side, if
yeah.
you're facing the front door, is that right?
Yes,
Deck on the right side, the big circular deck.
yes,
Is this where the fireplace is?
yes,
So go with the mouse. If you're walking along that deck, you could go and there's a door here. It goes into the master bedroom.
correct.
16. This is the second floor.
Correct.
Come up the steps. You have to kind of turn around 180, and then basically on this level is there 2 main bedrooms.
Yes,
One room here, then another room, and then a bathroom. Is that right?
correct.
Thrasher 17. When we're looking at floor plans of the basement, let me
So there's blood on the steps.
coming down the 12 steps. You hang around and go down the floor here to the landing. Is that right?
Yes,
Walk up a little bit, and then you kind of
How
go to
much?
the right, and there's,
Can't be much.
in this picture it says recreation room, but is this where the Farrises had the couches and things like that?
yes, there was a TV in there too.
This bedroom was where Gary's bedroom was at?
Yes,
CPAP machine was in there?
yes,
Go down this hallway, hang left, there's a movie room or media room,
yes,
and then here it says workshop, it was his office.
correct.
French doors here.
Yes,
Go back to the living room area, the American doors or the sliding open doors here.
yes,
And for reference, starting at the kitchen, down the steps, all the steps, and then there's going to be blood at the corner leading out into this area, you believe?
yes,
That was back not that.
Not rephrased.
Ooh, facts on evidence.
When you come down the steps here,
yes,
was there anything leading from this area to this area?
yes. There were what appeared to be drops of blood.
And then this area, do you end up finding something collected?
Yes, there was a projectile.
18, is that just a picture of the house?
Correct.
19, another picture.
Yes,
20, front door.
yes,
21, garage.
yes,
22, front door again.
yes,
23, showing the porch going around to the master bedroom.
yes,
24, a view looking at the
Oh, look at
pond.
that.
correct.
Oh,
25, looking back to the barn.
Yes,
horsey.
26, this is looking back towards the house from over the pond, is that right?
Oh,
Yes.
David needs to go milk it.
27,
barn.
28, inside the barn.
Oh,
Yes,
29, inside the main house,
It's a
the-
devil's
walking the front
trap.
door, seeing the stairs.
yes,
30,
wow.
is this a master bedroom?
yes,
Notice the doors
Don't
here.
sit on
walk
that
out to the balcony, is
on that
right?
Yes.
bedpost.
All right.
Master bathroom,
yes,
Oh,
keep going around. This is the bedroom upstairs, the main bedroom.
correct,
this chick knew how to
Then
decorate.
what I'm calling the
Okay, I
kids'
take it
bedroom,
back.
Okay, I
bedroom
take that
upstairs.
back.
correct.
I take it back. Oh God, that's
Jesus Christ,
Bathroom.
woman.
37, library.
Yes,
38, I guess the dining room.
time. Yes,
39, the other dining room.
It's not a
40,
Minnesota
the
key.
Other
no.
deck,
Correct.
Look at that.
41,
Doesn't sleep 4 to the
42 the
bed.
kitchen,
Yes.
The library is nice. I actually really like
and
the
back down to the
library.
basement. And was this, these are pictures that were online, but was this how the house was mainly
The
furnished when you
Barbie
were there?
dollhouse bedroom is
Yes,
goddamn
generally
awful.
speaking.
Now, Thrasher 47, we're getting into photographs that you took
Early
on
swing
July
by
5th,
bedrooms. Yeah,
2018,
for
is that
sure.
right?
Correct.
Tell the jury what we're seeing here. So this is when you're at the scene, do you do this first or do you do other stuff first?
Typically we do a brief walkthrough just to get, information from whomever was first responders is what typically happens. So we had walked around the back first, and then I came back and started photographing once tasked to do that.
This is the first one I think in your series, 47,
Yes.
48, 49. And what do we have down here? What type of livestock can you tell?
I think it's goats. Goats looks like. I don't recall the goats from the time period, but they made it in my picture. So
All right. 50, what is this?
the front door, leading to the front door.
51, you're going to be walking, I guess, around the east side of the
Right.
house. 52, 53, 54,
Look at it. It's
5.
amazing.
6, 7, 58 now to the other side,
Yes.
59, 60. Picture of, what's 61?
They had a chicken coop. It had storage too, I believe.
What a life.
And then 67 is showing a walkway down to the basement area.
Yeah,
Yes.
Deanna.
Did you have information of where Gary was living in the house and where the defendant was living in the house?
I believe I was informed of that prior to going in, but I couldn't tell you exactly who may have passed that information along.
All right, 68, this is a picture of the stairs.
Yes.
This is if you walk in the front
What are you
door
talking
and turn
about?
left, this is what we would see.
Yes.
And what is that down at the end? I think it's in the next picture, just a bathroom.
Yes.
Now, if you're standing at the front door and you turn right, is this the view that we see in 71?
Yes.
Now go and stand
doesn't
where you were
look
at
as good
71,
when
kind
it's
of
not
look to the
professional
kitchen.
photos.
Is this how the house appeared? This is the state of the house when you came on July 5th.
Correct.
Opulent, lots of stuff there, nice things.
Very nice.
73, still the kind of kitchen area.
Yes.
74, looking back to the
Hey,
front door.
Warrior. What are you talking about?
MILF weather?
What?
78, I noticed you got a dog in the picture there.
I did.
Yeah.
You have a dog in the picture?
79.
Wait.
I don't know. I didn't see it.
We just walked through the house. Did you notice anything out of the ordinary on the first level there?
Just the blood droplet at the top of the stairs.
Goddamn
Now we're
housekeeper.
going to move upstairs. No, this will be the master bedroom.
That's on the
I'm
main
reporting
floor,
her to
yes.
Trump.
Let me back up to Thrasher 94. We're standing at the door, looking into the master bedroom. Is that right?
Yes.
Imagine having a name.
The bed in the
Bradshaw.
room,
Correct.
Yeah.
the door,
Out to the porch.
and then going around the room back to the door.
Yes.
Furniture would cost so much money.
We're going into the bathroom now.
Yes.
Now 108 around the back
You
deck.
were
Yes.
over 42 and hot. That's
111.
no
This is
thriller.
outside of the master bedroom.
Well, we can't do that
Yes.
here
Yes.
in America.
It's upstairs.
No, that would make sense.
No, it's like it's
Yeah,
over 80
115
and
we're going
hot.
into. What room is this? We're going to be looking at.
That's sort of a mud room. The
That's a
door
gilf.
there leads into the garage, and then to the right is where the laundry room is.
So 115. That's the garage door.
Right,
Yes.
how far
I
is
step down
it's
off
one
this
drop.
step here, turn right. This is the washroom.
Yes.
And is this the state that you found things when you took photographs,
Yes.
including what was inside that?
Correct.
Like Melody. E-Man really likes
States
Melody.
116.
She is a gilf.
She's a hottie
Towels or
pastille.
whatnot in there.
Former Queen of England was a
117.
quelf.
Door there. Just in the
It
same
goes-
areas. All
Yes. Yeah.
Good Lord, I've seen real estate
Take
agents
125,
do
where are we at
less.
In the garage.
Pictures.
Do you know this vehicle to be any of the
Goodbye,
people involved?
friends.
I think I was told it may have been Ms. Farris's vehicle. I'm not sure.
What is this car? Oh, wow, look at it.
as we go through that, just a photograph of 130. What's this a photograph of?
Wells Fargo receipts.
Jeez.
Looks like from an ATM.
What's Wells Fargo?
A bank?
And what was available balance there?
Is it?
Yeah, big bank.
$11,046.85.
131, just more
11,000.
receipts.
Yes.
No, it was 111, I thought.
Looks like this is a receipt from a Scottsdale farm. All
It's a nursery.
right, now these 133, we're going to head upstairs. Is that what you were doing?
Yes.
Kilf, convict. I'd like to.
136, you stand at the top of the stairs. Is there a bedroom to your left and a bedroom to your right and a bathroom in the front?
Yes.
I have Wells Fargo.
141, did you learn that there were some grandkids basically staying over?
I did.
So we're going to be walking, what I'm calling the kids' room.
Right.
Guilty.
Maybe
What,
they
three beds in this room?
smacked each
Yes.
other out.
Maybe
Two
they
on the
did.
right, I believe, and then the two on the left.
Correct.
Well, their rooms are messy.
Then in this room, looking at 145, I'm just calling it Amanda's room because there's a picture of Amanda on the side here as reference. And then now going downstairs to the basement, this is 151. What do we have here?
That's the movie room, theater room.
What?
Some
Oh,
people
It's
have those.
literally a theater room.
Says
gets
Yeah,
really better.
it's not
Literally,
that.
it was a theater room
Yes.
to watch movies.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not a big deal.
All right, now 158. What door are we looking at in this photograph?
I mean,
That's,
rich people have them.
to his office.
Like he's
Come
trying
down
to
the steps
impeach her
basement,
for being rich.
go a little bit to the right, go down the hallway. That's going to be his office.
You would come down the stairs, take an immediate right, then a left past the bar, and go to the end of the hallway.
Oh, that means the porn I've been
And so
watching
photographs
isn't
just of the office,
as
how it
kinky
was.
as I thought.
And this was, what day were you doing this?
It was July 5th.
do you think that part of this is to try and make the jury hate her because she's rich?
Yeah.
And
Oh,
you
yeah.
took a picture of the broken dish there.
That's the only reason.
You think?
Yeah. Yeah, there's no.
177, standing at the office, looking back down the hallway towards the living room, if you would, in the
Yes.
bar.
There's
down
no
this
other
hallway, what's
reason
gonna
I
be down
can
here?
think
On
about.
the far end would have been his bedroom.
Prosecutors never bring this stuff in.
Well,
Not like
Well,
every
what do we have
single
here?
angle of
So-
the
all the
house.
photos.
It's a CPAP
yeah,
machine.
like all the grand photos.
Yeah.
The CPAP.
Now, this is 188. How long were you on the property processing everything? We went through it fairly quickly, but I imagine you were there for hours.
I arrived around 3:20 p.m. and then went past midnight. We probably left,
Jeez.
I would guess, 1:30 in the morning, the next morning, somewhere around that time.
Why?
Long time.
Long time.
What I want to talk about now is, as we go through 189, you take a photograph and document what you believe to be blood and clean up.
Yes.
Yes, let's get to the point.
It is kind of cumulative.
191, is
but-
there anything significant in this photograph?
Parallel, if the door were shut, there is a
Oh,
blood
wow.
droplet right, what appears
Is
to be a
that
blood
it?
droplet right there adjacent.
Is
to
that
the
it?
door
I've
if it
got like
was in
3,
a closed
4
position.
blood
How
droplets
did
in
y'all
my
find, how did you see it?
bathroom right now.
I believe in the initial walkthrough, we were told that there were some in that area. So we were just very careful about following, proper protocol and looking very carefully before we went forward.
From this area right here, the steps at the top in the kitchen lean down to the basement. Is that, I think 12 steps down, is that right?
Approximately, yes.
192, 93, 194. Just closer up, so what you believe to be blood.
Yes.
195 has a photograph here of the steps. What catches your attention with these?
The first step, there's just what I would consider a very diluted possible blood stain. It looks the second white pattern from the right. There's an area there that appears to be stained.
All right, so 196, what are these spots here?
Those were darker. We were not sure as to what that
Yeah,
was.
it's bigger than
but,
the pinprick in
anything
Zach's
we would
van.
note,
Yeah,
anything
it's
that
bigger than
possibly
that,
could
yeah.
be blood stains.
197, looking back at different angle, what do we have here?
Correct. The same. There's as you go down the stairs, there were similar dilute patterns and the dark stains on lots of the steps.
Okay, are you
Is
talking about
it
these
his
things
blood,
here?
do we know?
Yes.
So this right here, what is this to you?
That it could be a
Don't know, we're gonna find out.
attempt at cleanup. It's hard to say.
And then these are other things you're seeing
That
could
looks
be
like
blood?
ink.
Is it consistent with blood?
Just yes. I mean, it's a little bit darker than I would think, but you can't know without possibly testing.
As we go on down, you're taking closer photographs of these droppings, is that right?
Yes, you get one shot at a crime scene, so you photograph everything you can.
All right, 205, what is this pattern here?
Similar stains, but darker.
Now, how would you think that was consistent with blood being cleaned up?
Possibly bloodstain pattern analysis, different substrates, whatever the blood hits, it will react differently. So it, to me, does appear that there was attempts because it's a little bit broader than if it was just a drop.
207, same thing.
Yes,
208, same thing.
yes.
And then 212, what do we have here?
Just more of the darker stains that we documented.
On 213, what do we see here?
If I'm standing at the bottom of the step, I am looking towards the bar, and to the right corner where the trim ends on the floor, there, I believe there was a stain there. Yes.
This is 214, we're talking about right here?
Yes.
Where's the rest? Come on, show us the rest. I want to see more than that.
On 234, we're coming back to the wall.
Yes.
And it's going to be a little hard to see here, but what are you picking up here?
There is a stain, a single stain, looks like from the picture approximately a foot off the wall in the middle of the picture as you have it right now.
Right here?
Yes,
So I'm talking about right here.
correct.
237, is that what you're talking about?
Yes,
Is that consistent with a blood pattern?
yes. The texture of the floor
It's what? It's her
can
blood.
change the pattern a little
Jenny.
bit, but yes,
238, you're going to go back and mark these with evidence markers, is that right?
correct.
So, but we're talking about this area of the floor.
Yes.
So as we get closer to 241, is this what drew your attention?
Yes.
Now 242, we're here at, what is this thing here in the middle?
It's a floor lamp.
And what's behind it?
That would have been a chair.
And looking down at the side of the floor, what did you take a photograph of?
Just the blood stain adjacent to the floor lamp.
And then 244, another picture.
Yes.
All right. For actually 245, tell the jury why it's systematic, it's tedious,
Yes.
we've talked about that, the jury knows what's going on, but you take, I guess, bare photographs and you come back and mark them, is that what you do?
Yes.
And why do you do that?
You want to show the scene as you found it. So before you alter it at all, you take photographs initially. And then we will go back and mark items of evidence as we find them.
Now, here we got, for actually 245, this photograph. Tell us, kind of for the record, from the light itself, or that in front of the ottoman, with marker 1, walk us through the numbering and where it's going to in the photograph.
Okay. So this is in the basement next to that floor lamp. Ahead at the end of the hall was his bedroom. To the right is the bar. So the bloodstain pattern, the drops seem to turn to the right and going, I can't say towards or away from, but the numbers follow a line that lead towards the stairs, and then up the stairs is how we numbered them.
The numbering, 1 starts from this end and 4, that is not, you're not saying 1 was here, the next, it's just,
No, I'm not.
those are just markers.
Yes,
And you don't know if it started at 4 and came this way or started at 1 and went that way.
correct.
You just know it is what it is.
Yes.
Looking at 1, did you get a close up here for 247?
Yes.
Tell us, describe the what you believe to be blood and the pattern. Is there anything about that from your training experience that tells you anything?
I review these extensively, and if there's a fast motion of blood falling off of something with the object or person moving, it will create a distinct pattern with what you saw, the spines that come off the drop. So typically, if it's moving quickly in one direction, the spines will all typically be in that direction. These were more broad, kind of in all directions, which would lend me to think that it was a slower motion and it probably was dropping almost straight down. As I stated before, the texture of what it's falling on affects things too.
Two, same thing, is the same similar type?
Yes.
This is 254. What do we see with this evidence marker 2? Evidence marker 1, now evidence marker 2. Ian?
It's just multiple smaller drops. No real directionality in them.
There's none.
Again, just-
None
they
of them
just
have
straight down on
Seem
directionality.
to be-
They're all just
Unless there's a distinct speed to it, they'll generally just look more round.
Now 3, this is evidence marker 3, or EM3.
Yes.
Anything distinctive about this one?
I've looked at that one, and as far as a height goes, that can make a difference. The higher or the more blood volume, it can cause a bigger drop. So the spine's extended further out.
You think about it being bigger than the other ones in the size relation?
Yes, so possibly more volume.
I don't see spines on any of these.
And then 4 by the corner there.
Right. Similar. It was a little bit bigger drop as well. There's a void in it.
A void. Where?
Voids can be from various things. I do know he was potentially shot in a rib. So in that,
You're in a rib.
if someone is
Because it
shot
ended
in a
up in the
rib
rib.
or shot in the respiratory system, you can also get the
Definitely think you're going, she's about to go outside her expertise,
Okay.
that's why I said it's the same.
So when you see
Section.
this spot here, is it different than other ones?
a little bit, it has a void in it.
And it is located closest to the steps, is that right?
That one was, I believe, at the other corner, the one near the hallway that went down to his bedroom.
Let me back up and see. The bar here, then right here, it's just the corner here.
Yes.
All right, 260, we've got some markers here back on the steps, just showing things you saw on the steps that you thought could be consistent with blood.
Correct.
Seven, is that consistent with a cleanup, I guess?
Possibly, yes.
This doesn't make any
And then
sense
spots
at
8 and
all.
9 up the steps.
Yes.
Okay, so theory time. I think that this looks like someone had some sort of bleeding at some point in time. I don't know who.
Yeah.
Ginny, I don't know if you're for real about it not being his blood, if it being her blood. We haven't heard that yet, so I'm not sure. So I'm just going to assume it's Gary's for a moment, because that's what they seem to be getting at. If it's Gary's blood, to me, it looks like he had a wound and he was walking around dripping it.
Yeah. Nosebleed or whatever. He's running to get a
First aid.
towel. Yeah.
Yeah.
To plug it.
because, and it doesn't look like a terrible wound, but it's bleeding, and it's dripping. Bloop, 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 bloop. Right? Because there's no directionality to the blood at all. There's no pools. There's no stains left behind of big pools of blood. Right? So if you were shot, there would be something to show
You'd be
for that.
gushing.
Yeah, there'd be something to show for that.
You'd be moist.
somewhere. Yeah, and there would be you get the luminol out or the blue star or whatever it is they're using, and there would be a big sign of clean up. There would be, it'd light up. It'd light up. We wouldn't be looking at these piddly little
Yeah.
little spots, right?
That looks
Also,
like
the
it could
other
come
thing-
from a nosebleed.
Yeah, and the other thing that's interesting to me is that this woman is a clean freak, and the prosecution said that in their opening statements, that she's like almost OCD clean freak is what they said,
Yeah.
right? Not the defense, that was the prosecution. So if she was that way, why would she just leave the house with this blood all over the place? Now, that was his area of the house. That was Gary's area. So she probably didn't even know that there was spots of blood and stuff like that. That was because she didn't really go down there that much.
Yeah.
Right. So if she was responsible for all that, would she have left it like that? Nah. Come on.
And 10 at the top of the steps.
Correct.
Could have been tracked in with her shoes, hence the smudges. I don't know. They look to me more
Again,
like
Thrasher 279. Drawing attention now to this ottoman. Did law enforcement, was it pointed out to you that something was on the floor?
Yes, one of the detectives had come in, and while we were, Lieutenant Ballard and I were attending to the blood drops, they started looking through the room for he was looking for a possible projectile, and it was found there adjacent to the ottoman.
Yeah, I remember that.
Do you want did you collect a projectile?
Yes.
The states, Thrasher 289, we just look at that, any gloves or anything? Want some gloves?
If you have some, if not,
If you just want to lift some, just the box, if you just lift the box. There you go, that's fine. If I can take that. Judge, I think your United States 289.
Okay.
Man, Bailiff, you'll check the jury room. I'm pretty sure there's some in there last time we looked for some.
You wasted too much
Either on
time
the
cleaning
counter
Scott's
or
posture.
Underneath in the cabinet.
Judge, is there a way to switch over?
We-
I got it, I just want to get to
Yeah,
that.
tell me what you want to do.
All right.
Yeah,
good,
it's
Emma.
polished floor. I've got similar floors here. Like if blood gets on the floor here, it's really easy to clean
There
up.
may be some gloves in the cabinet, they were saying? No. Well,
We found them in the jury room last time we needed them.
What's that thing? What is that?
I tell you, all I want you to do is if you take the gloves, I'm gonna hand it to you. If you can just lay it out flat, like just in the center for me, and then I'll put it on. Oh, thank you. Is that the line?
It's a ladybug? Yeah. Or was it a bullet?
That's perfect. All right, so this is,
Oh, don't smile, lady. You
and we'll go back through the
narcissist.
pictures, but this was the bullet. I think the technical term is a projectile that was found on the floor.
correct.
And was that properly maintained and stored in the 60
Guitar.
GBI for testing?
Yes,
And was that the only projectile that you found or law enforcement found in the residence?
in the residence, yes.
And is this the shape it is in and the way it looks is pretty much how it was when you collected from the floor?
I believe it had a little more of a red substance on it, but
Right.
yes.
All right, Judge, we can go back to the,
Another win for the toe.
what's that? Yeah, turn it off. All right, 279. Right here where I have the mouse, the cursor, is that the projectile?
Yes,
280, a closer view.
yes,
281, even closer.
yes,
282,
yes.
283.
Okay, you guys help me with this.
And then 285.
So that's like empty casing, right?
Now, in relation to where the blood from the steps to where the projectile, was it kind of like a straight angle?
Sort of. It was
You kinda keep
on the other
getting
side of the
away
lamp,
with this, hello.
and
No.
a bit under the ottoman edge. But generally speaking, you could construe those in the same area.
286,
No, that's
7.
so that's a bullet, an actual bullet, right?
Just another view of it.
So is it a bullet that's been fired?
Now, at this point, when you find this, to your knowledge, had the bullet in the ribs already been found?
Clearly, it's something's happened to it.
I would have to know. I don't believe so, but I can't remember the time frame. If I knew the metadata and the timestamp, I might give you a better idea.
But you were not involved with the outside part, just the inside?
I did assist with raking some around the burn pile.
Angled bullet fragment.
Now, when it goes to the blood trail from the steps down to the projectile area, I think you said there were 3 cleanup
Went
areas you
through.
noted,
Yes,
and then the rest were the droplets that you noted that we've seen.
correct.
For the on the blood trail on the floor, evidence marker 1, I think, and evidence marker 2, you took swabs from those. Is that right?
Yes,
And then did you package those and send them off, maintain those, and then send them off to the GBI to be tested?
there were more swabs taken. At that time, I believe there were a total of, they were marked EM1 to EM10.
Right.
And I believe there were a total of 18.
Right, and then I think EM1, EM2, which turns out to be
Yes.
GBI item 14A and 14C.
Yes, correct.
All I'm asking is, all the swabs you took, evidence marker 1, evidence marker 2, which is GBI 14A, 14C, those were sent to be tested.
Correct.
And do you know the results of that testing? We stipulate, you know they're back though, right?
Yes.
We'll get to them later on the trial.
Okay.
And you helped collect those, maintain those, and then also, I think you helped baggage and transport everything as we talked about, and that's pretty much what you did on that day, is that right?
Correct.
And then I believe on July 25th of 2019, about a little more than a year later, you came back, and what y'all come back to do?
There was known to be an area on the property that was used for just, I think, what I would assume would be recreational shooting targets type shooting. So we came back to look for and collect possible projectiles and or cartridge casings.
Just trying to match them up, see if you can match it to what was used in the murder?
Correct.
Did y'all collect a bunch of stuff?
We did.
I mean, how much stuff did y'all collect?
I don't recall the quantity of,
But a bunch of different casing projectiles and things like that?
Yes.
And did you send all that to the GBI to be tested?
I don't recall, but if it's in the records, then we did.
Right, so some of the stuff you did send for testing.
Okay.
And I believe that's all you did outside of maybe helping with the burn pile, but that was really, I think, Investigator Shaw's
Yes.
task for that?
Yeah.
Judge, you might just have one moment.
Interesting. This is very interesting. I'm starting to get a better picture of it now.
Good afternoon, Mr. Asher. My name is Michael Ray, I represent Ms. Farris. I'm going to go ahead and bring these up to you. Please. You can look at these.
I didn't know that there was his, well, and I mean, I know that factual and evidence, yeah, thank you to chat, but I didn't know that there was a bullet with his DNA on it in the house. I did not know that. I knew there was those spots of blood, and I knew there was some bullets scattered around, but I didn't know
Correct.
that they could be traced to his body.
Your move.
That's news to me.
While I'm doing this, what's your title? Is it like investigator?
Crime scene technician.
That's a lot. I'll just call you Mr. Asher. How about that?
Okay.
With this house, it's a fairly extravagant house, right?
It's fairly what house?
Extravagant. The furnishings on the inside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's expensive.
Sure.
Okay. Trying to figure out which one's mine. There we go. Let's measure. And we'll get to that stuff in just a second. First thing is, because you had testified on direct that you were relatively new back in July 5th, 2018, correct?
Absolutely.
And how long had you been on the job at that point? I missed that.
I don't recall when I finished my last class, but I had probably only been to a handful of scenes prior to that one.
Okay, so only a handful. How much time do you think you had actually in the field being a crime scene tech when you arrived at Priscilla?
You knew
We did a
nothing.
40-hour kind of practical type thing before we were signed off, but including that, I would say 70 hours.
And that'd be total?
Probably.
Okay. So about 70 hours in the field when you got there. So when you got there, I know you said that you were kind of working under Shaw and Ballard,
Yes.
right? Who was actually in charge of the crime scene technicians on July 5th, 2008?
Due to rank, Lieutenant Ballard would have been, but Sergeant Shaw, I think, they divided tasks because it was such a large property.
Okay,
So
so-
I'm not privy to who decided what.
Okay, so essentially both of them were in charge?
Yeah,
Okay, so you could take orders from either one of them?
absolutely.
Okay, and who was it, Shaw or Ballard, that assigned you your duties? If you don't know, that's fine.
I believe it was Lieutenant Ballard asked me to go photograph the house.
I think it was Ballard? Okay. The first thing I want to go over with was, what was Mr. Focus's Thrasher number 3? Oh, yeah. Because you had walked the property originally, right? But before you started doing your photographs, things like that?
I walked around the house. I did not go to the barn.
Yeah, you didn't go to the barn, but you went around the
No,
back
I
of the
didn't
house
go to the
and
barn,
went over to
did
the car
you?
lot, right?
Yes.
Should've
Okay,
gone to
and
the
so if,
barn.
I'm standing here, you can see on the left side of State's Thrasher.
Mildly
3,
inauspicious.
that there's kind of a dam leading over the lake, right?
Yes.
And then from that dam, you can actually walk straight down.
Oh,
straight-
the damn
straight forward,
dam.
and go to the
Damn,
burn
damn,
property.
damn you.
It appears so.
Okay, and on the other side of the dam is the barn. You're that familiar with the
Yes.
property, right?
You didn't go on that damn tour, did you?
Now I want to show you Thrasher 15.
I want to show you this damn photo.
Okay, so the blood drop at the top of the stairs that you talked about.
Yes.
I've kind of got my, well, it would be a cursor, but now it's a hand. So it's somewhere around where the hand is clicking, right?
Yes,
Handy.
And that is that solitary single drop, right?
correct.
So- Solitary
Did
drop.
you actually swab that drop?
I can't tell you for sure. I don't, from the way I remember the evidence being marked, we used the evidence markers on the property or the evidence items. So to my knowledge, I can't say yes or no, but me in particular, no, I would say. If it was, I don't
But
know
you
if it was
just
ever
did.
swabbed.
Okay, you definitely didn't do it.
No.
Okay.
Say yes and no.
And do you recall, because I learned through this case, that
Did it?
if you're not familiar with it, just say I'm not familiar with that, they've got these, I guess they look like little pregnancy tests, and they kind of come up with lines or a plus, and they can use
Pregnancy
them
tests.
for preliminary blood
Whoa.
tests.
Blue Star OBTI.
Oh, the blood
Okay.
test.
Did you
What are
know?
you
did
doing
do
with this
that
witness,
on that
sir?
solitary drop at the
No.
downstairs? Okay. And you didn't do, since you
We
mentioned
know
it, you
she
didn't do
was
any blue star
late.
testing in the house at all?
I did not.
Okay. Now let me, I'm gonna come back to 16. Show you 46. So is the 46 the basement photo that you took?
That,
Yes,
that photo in particular is not,
it's not your photo.
it's not
He
my
didn't
photo.
take that. She
That
took
is,
that
is that a photo from one of the
way
Zillow
too
photos maybe?
good.
It possibly is.
Okay, so you didn't take this photo?
I did not.
Okay.
Nope.
It looks similar to some of your photos, correct?
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Such as the ottoman, the blanket on the ottoman, the little blue table thing here?
Yes.
All of that is in some of your photographs too?
Yes.
Correct? Okay. And Thrasher is 68. Okay. This is leading upstairs?
Correct.
Okay. Whose stuff is this?
I do not
It's
know.
here at the bottom.
That was a picture, that's my task, is taking pictures of the scene as I found it when I walked in.
Okay. So you don't know, this ain't yours?
That's not mine.
Okay. You don't know what it is?
No.
Okay. Now, you had also, so your number 130, you had taken photos of Melody's car, right?
Yes.
The Toyota. Did you also take any photos of Gary's car?
That was the only car I took photos of.
Okay. Do you know if any of the other techs took photographs of Gary's car?
I do not recall. I don't know.
Okay. If you don't know, that's perfectly fine. Now, number 194, I think. So that's the blood drop at the top of the stairs,
Yes.
correct? Okay. And
Maybe-
this is also the
maybe
top of the
so
stairs, and this would be
generous.
Thrasher 195.
Okay.
So, and I'll just look all of the stairs. You didn't take any swabbings or anything from any of the
Thank
suspected
you,
blood drop on the
Amy.
stairs.
I did not.
Maddie B, Freedom Ring, Sapphire, Rich News,
The
Shelley,
markers,
Coleman,
I know the evidence was labeled
and Mazzy Star,
EM1
all
to
gifted
EM10.
memberships by
go.
Evie.
I'll get to that when we
Let's
get down
go.
there. But at least, let's just say that first set of 12 steps that go down to the landing,
Right,
right? All right, you didn't take any swabs of any of that suspected blood, right?
I did not.
And there was no
Gifts.
preliminary testing done on it either.
Not that I know of.
And to the best of your
The
knowledge,
way we're
the
going,
carpeting
Evie's
wasn't
going to
removed,
be
so it could
choosing
sent
all
off
the
to investigate, was it?
emojis.
Not that I recall.
Okay,
Thank you so much, Evie.
let me just get,
You're a good egg.
You are a very good egg. I'm gonna put your name on the banner at the bottom.
one thing here you can see in this photograph.
My name isn't
and
on
this
the
is
banner.
213. See how the floor, how on this side, and over here, that one could be shadowed, but it looks like the floor's kind of dusty.
Possibly. I mean, there is debris on the floor, and they have a dog.
Okay, exactly. And how many dogs, I think Mr. Fogus had asked you, how many dogs did you see in the house?
I saw one.
Just one? Okay.
Especially Evie.
And 279.
Maddie, you just got a
First
gifted
off-
membership.
That little dot right there where the mouse pointer is, that is the projectile, right?
Correct.
Okay. Who first told you about the projectile?
We started looking, as I stated earlier, Lieutenant Ballard and I were attending to the blood drops. Sergeant Kuykendall came in and started looking, and he was the one that found it.
Kraken
Kuykendall.
what?
Yes.
Okay. And do you know, did Kuykendall move that ottoman at all
Kuykendall?
to find that bullet?
Yeah.
I don't know for sure.
He could have.
Could have.
Okay. Because it's right on the edge of the carpet and almost close to being underneath the
Kuykendall
ottoman.
took
where
my
it is on this
virginity
photograph of 279, right?
Back in '63.
I'm going to come back to these real quick. Let me back. I'll come back to the bullet in just a minute. Now, so even though I know your main task is just taking photographs, right?
Correct.
All right, and documenting everything. Did you see any blood on this chair on the right hand of stage 279?
I don't recall seeing any.
But if you would have documented it, right?
If I saw it, I would have documented it, yes.
There was no blood on the blanket, the ottoman, the little end table.
Not at the time. I did not notice it at the time. The scene was held for 3 more days, and I did not go back out, so I don't know if anybody re-examined that after the fact.
Okay, I'm just talking about what you did. So you didn't see anything. Okay. And the rug, the coffee table, no blood found there.
Not,
Okay.
no.
And if you, let me zoom in here. Let's talk about this one, 281. You don't see any blood in this photograph, correct?
I did not at the time.
But you can also still see the debris and stuff on the
Yes.
floor. Okay. You also don't notice any, I'm trying to think of the way to phrase it. There's no impact marks, right? There's no hole for the bullet, right?
At that time, we had not noticed any,
Okay.
so I don't know what was searched after.
Okay.
At that
Okay.
time.
But at least in this photograph, there's no impact, like there's no skid marks or anything from a bullet.
Not
There's
in
no
that
hole
area.
or anything in the floor.
Not in that area.
Did you find any bullet holes in the basement?
In the time I was there, I did not.
Okay. And while I've got it, because the way that was kind of
What's he
done.
trying to get at?
This, see the,
Not sure.
the red tip
That it
on
was
the
planted
projectile?
there.
Now, how familiar are you with
Maybe.
projectiles?
That could be.
I mean, there's so many different types of ammunition and
There are.
rounds there.
But, well, I'm not going to ask you about that. That red, where the little hand
Yes.
that's not like tissue or blood or anything,
No.
right? It's actually a red polymer.
We'll be right
correct?
back after we start.
It's actually part of the bullet.
Yes.
Okay.
Skid marks. Have you frozen, Ilya? Ilya's frozen. I'm just gonna remove him from stage for a minute because he's struggling.
I got well, one
There
second.
he
I've
is.
gotta
Hello.
Flip through till I find.
There's 2 of you.
Jeff, off the top of your head, do you know
Oh, there you are.
where it's 1, 2, 3, 4, that photo? Oh, there, I got it. There we go. I knew I'd get to it. 251. All right, so position 1 there, when you, because we've used some different terms, you keep saying like EM 1 and 2, and I know what you're talking about, but make sure the jury understand. You say like EM 1, we're talking about that one solitary blood drop next to the lamp, right?
Yes.
And EM 2 is what is marked on the screen right in the middle of is number 2.
Yes.
All right. Now, those 2 spots you did take swabs of.
Yes.
Okay. And those, you package those up and send them off to the crime lab.
Right.
Right. All right. 3 and 4, and then we know going around the corner or going back up the stairs where placard number 5 is, not swabbed, not tested, not taken. To the best of your knowledge, you didn't do it.
Correct.
Okay. Now, past, past number 1 here, if we go, actually, let me do it this way. That down. This number
Scroll.
I don't understand why some would be tested and some wouldn't. Like, just test the goddamn lot.
Money.
Going back to stage 17, the diagram of the house. So, and I'm just speaking kind of roughly.
Right, David?
So around
Well,
here,
hey, how
kind of
are
in
you?
the middle to the right, where the little hand is, that is where that number 1 blood drop was found next to the lamp, right?
Yes.
Are you
a little
saying
bit
Mercado is
forward
the
where you
first
have it,
one?
but yeah, generally.
In this just general area.
Yes.
You didn't find any more blood leading to. We've had a joke about this case for a while. I think these are what we're calling the American doors, right here on the right-hand
Who was
side of the
the first?
photograph.
Correct.
So there wasn't any additional blood leading that way, correct? That you found.
Bruce Rivers' kid.
No,
Okay. There wasn't any blood leading back to the workshop, which is where Gary's office was.
not that we found, no.
Okay. And there was no blood leading down the hallway toward Gary's bedroom.
I just
Correct.
consider Nick.
And then yet again,
Because of his
the
legal
suspected blood that you
Hell
testified about
yeah.
regarding the stairs was never tested.
Sorry.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. And the blood at the top of the stairs, you don't recall if it was swabbed or not.
I do not.
Let me pull up my stuff, and while I'm doing that, when y'all went back out over a year later,
Yes.
who sent you out there?
Who sent you?
I was asked by Sergeant Shaw to go. It sounded like at the behest of the DA's office, possibly.
Behest is a good
But
one.
I wasn't privy to those conversations, so.
Okay, so maybe somebody at the DA's office. And you recall when
Somebody got
y'all-
a word a day calendar.
Was you and Eckard went back out there?
No, there were, it was me and Shaw, and I believe there were several others.
Okay. And you had just collected up essentially a bunch of fragments, bullets, projectiles, and gathered them up and sent them off to the crime lab.
We used metal detectors to find them. There was also a tree that was apparently where a target was leaned up against the tree at some point in time.
What was that leaned up against the tree?
Probably a target that was.
Oh,
I
okay,
think-
yeah. So somebody told you to go and you went.
Absolutely.
All right. All right. Now, Thrasher Defense 1, did you take
What
this
a
photograph?
lovely
'Cause I don't want to
smile.
confuse you because, Zillow photos get mixed in with other ones.
That does not look like a photo I took, I don't think, but I can't be for sure.
Okay. But you would agree that's the house you were in, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you can see that, we'll just presume that this is around July the 5th. There's nothing wrong. There's no damage or anything. You didn't note any damage in your report anywhere in the basement, right?
I don't recall any.
Okay. And number 2, that's just showing the same
Okay.
view, except you can see the ottoman and the table again. And yet again, you didn't find any damage in the chair or the ottoman or anything like that.
I did not.
Okay. Yet again, same thing in 3, 4. Apparently, you have to pay money to make Adobe want to rotate pictures easily. That's not a free feature.
What?
Anything extra for that?
No, that's not true.
Wait, go back
And
10
this photo too.
seconds.
One thing is on that coffee table out there. There was all these candles. and
What
things like
about
that.
Adobe?
That's not a free feature.
Pay for anything extra for that?
Apparently, you have to pay money to make Adobe want to rotate pictures easily. That's not a free feature.
Pay for
What?
anything extra for
Please.
that?
User error.
And this photo too. And one thing is on that coffee table
I
out
should,
there. There was all these
I should
candles
get this
and
guy
things
to
like that.
find me.
Yes, I think there was a
Seriously.
remote in that dish, maybe.
That dish, and you can see there's like a vase there, got a glass or what looks like glass or ceramic lamp too. And so then, like, while you were there cleaning that, you didn't see like no broken furniture or anything like that, right?
No.
Same thing, just a different angle. Now here, this is leading to Gary's office, right?
Yes.
Okay. And the doors that I mentioned, is that what the American doors are, or is that the French doors? All right, so the American doors are over here, and that last blood drop is kind of right in the middle of this photograph, right next to the lamp, right?
Yes.
Okay. And yet again, no blood going this way, toward or down in the photograph, no blood to the left.
None that we found.
Okay. Now this photograph, do you recall, and I'll ask you why in a moment, but do you recall if you specifically took this photograph?
I think I may have. I'm not sure. It's dark outside, so when I was photographing part of these, it had
It got
gone
dark?
past dark. Yes.
Okay. Because I want to ask you about, when you look at this one, if you look at the other one, everything is relatively in place, right?
Yes.
All right, and then this one.
The ottomans moved.
Yeah, so in this one, if you look at the bottom,
Ottomans
the
moved.
ottomans moved, that
Yes.
blanket is now on the couch, the
Guilty.
pillow
Yes.
on the right-hand side of the screen has been for some reason taken off the couch. Did you move those things?
I did not. I believe Kuykendall continued to search once we found the projectile. Once he
Okay.
found it.
Because here's another question, because I can't see it. Because when you put down the placards, I don't know when that was. So I don't know if this stuff has been moved before these placards have been put out. You understand?
Right.
So is it before or after? Because I don't know. Is this how the room looked when you walked in? Or did it look put
No,
together?
the ottoman had not been moved when I walked down there the first time.
Okay, so it was over here like it is in the other photographs? Okay. Do you have any idea why Kuykendall would move like the pillow and the blanket and stuff like that?
To look under the cushions and
Okay.
things.
And were you there when he did that?
I think I was still down there, but we were taking blood swabs is a tedious task that takes a long time, so.
Okay. And well, since Kuykendall's down there moving things, did you notice or find any additional blood drops, bullet holes, projectiles, anything like that? in
I
any of
was
this?
not informed if they did.
Okay. Number. And that's just a different angle, right?
Yes.
Okay. Show you Thrasher 9.
No, they
Okay, that's just the same placards that we had
they
seen.
got a rookie
Yeah.
out there to
That
do
was put out.
this.
And
I don't think she's a
number 9
rookie.
is just going to be.
She
a
was.
photograph
She
of
said
the blood
it
drop.
was, she'd
Oh.
only been
Now,
out
did you
there.
actually-
She'd only been to 2 or 3 crime
I
scenes
don't mean this in
before.
a sarcastic way, but did you actually look
She's like 60.
Yeah.
at the floor, like going down the hall
When's she gonna retire?
toward
90?
the workshop, toward Gary's office? Like
Oh,
actually
Lord,
going
woman.
like, hey, I'm starting at 4, blood drop, 3, blood drop, 2, blood drop, 1, blood drop. Did you keep going? Like,
Yes,
hey, I think-
yes, we would have looked for a continued pattern.
Exactly.
Right.
So that is a logical assumption, right?
Yes.
Okay. And you didn't find that?
No.
Okay. It stopped at 1, or began at 1,
Right.
or it may not be connected at all, right?
Well, I had my break and I had to get some of my sweet sugar tea.
One second, Judge.
Yeah, this was her second career.
Hold this 1 second.
Yeah,
Okay.
she said right at the beginning she was very new.
So she wanted to get into true crime after her kid went to college.
Something like that.
Well, she actually said she wanted to go back to school, and she did.
Sorry,
give her credit
beautiful
for that.
waterfall. What's your theory? It's not all one bullet, one on the floor, one on his rib. So she shot him once inside, chased him outside, and shot him again near the burn pile. Or someone shot him.
So it's the magic bullet theory. No, I'm going with the magic bullet
Couple more
theory.
quick things. With the, maybe I can pull it up, I don't know. With the blood drops, with that numbering pattern, you and Mr. Fogus talked about it briefly. How did you come up with that numbering pattern? Like, why is this 1, I guess is my question. Why isn't the top of the stairs 1?
There's no real reason other than that's where the curvilinear pattern was. It did not
Curvilinear.
we were not stating, as we said before, that is where we thought it began or ended. It just was the
Kid
easiest
needs this
path.
woman's
It appeared
word
to
today.
create a path of some manner.
Okay, so fair to say you were in the basement and you had your placards and was like, hey, there's blood drop number 1?
You would be correct.
Okay. So basically just the easiest way to do it?
Yes.
Okay.
There's blood drop number 1.
So
The
now
other
you've
lawyer's
been, I know you were
smiling.
relatively new when you first started. Now you've been doing
Oh, he's got a shit-eating grin on his face at that. Oh, and the prosecutors are kind of annoyed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would it be reasonable?
They were kind of like,
Matt, if you went out to Purcell Lane, that you would have been swabbing all of those spots.
Why are you making
I
fun of
would
my
probably
witness?
swab more, perhaps, but I was, as I stated, I was new and was following the lead of who I was working for. And it was a large scene, so that was held for several days.
Yeah, was it, because it was a large scene. 'Cause there was a lot of people there, weren't there?
Yes.
While you were there, how many investigators do you think were there?
Between investigators beyond the crime scene unit, 5 or 6, I really couldn't, I stayed in my area generally, and don't know who was called in and exactly where they were.
Would it be a fair assessment that, it's fairly a chaotic scene, a lot going on, a lot of people running around?
I wouldn't call it chaotic. I mean, it was
Busy could be a better word.
busy.
A lot going on.
Try to catch her
Yes, you
there.
have to, but, there were people that have been doing this a long time and were in charge of making sure it was constructive.
But you also had Miss Eckhart here too, right?
Yes.
You and her were kind of doing this together?
Yes, she was with me as I took photos and took some notes, and then she did more at the burn pile than I did.
Okay. And one or two more questions. With since this,
Yes.
over the course of your career now, have you ever had to take something from a crime scene, such as, I need to take up this piece of flooring or this piece of carpet
Yes.
to send it off on the crime lab?
Yes.
You have done that?
I don't know if I've taken carpeting, but I've cut pieces of wall before to find.
Okay,
things.
cut the drywall out?
Yeah.
Okay. So in this case, just for example, you could have, or your superiors could have cut sections of the carpet out to send it off to
It's
testing.
always a possibility, yes.
Okay. Nothing further at this.
Alright, thank you, Judge.
Right. Oops, hang on.
Did it ever cross your mind that these things weren't connected or related, or one was out of place as another one wasn't?
No, it did not.
And EM1, evidence marker 1, evidence marker 2, that those were taken and tested, and we're going to get the results of that test to see if it matches anything else down there too, right?
Right.
Oh, hey, Ghost.
And if you did it over and you swab that blood, it's either his blood or someone else's blood.
Right.
I guess it could be not blood, but definitely the ones that were tested, they're going to come back to wherever they are, right?
Right.
Oh, actually.
Okay. So we're gonna flick forward.
Cross and then do that other part in the morning.
We could do that because he's going to be probably longer, I would think, than.
Even the videos of that the marshal's office did, they're kind of long. Anyway, you know those. So, everything you want to
We'll see
do.
how it goes. All right, bring them back in.
All right. So now, now we have the officer who inspected the burn pile. Guys, avert your eyes if you don't want to see bones. He's a pretty happy dude. Check him out.
With a large magenta arrow. You're welcome.
You would state your full name for the record.
My name is Christopher Michael Shaw.
Now, where do you work right in the morning?
I'm currently a police officer with
got
the
a
Cherokee
black
County
eye?
School District Police Department, assigned to Cherokee High School.
And what do you do at that job?
I am the main campus SRO for Cherokee High School. So I'm charged with safety and security of the main campus and all the surrounding areas of Cherokee High School.
How long have you been doing that?
I'm in my 3rd school year.
And prior to that,
does
you
have a
worked
black
for the
eye.
sheriff's office.
I did. I was employed with the Cherokee Sheriff's Office for 15 years.
When did you go to
Been
the
hit
academy?
with the
to become
ugly
post certified?
stick.
In 2003,
Tell us if you would, starting with after, where'd you go to the academy?
I went to North Central Law Enforcement Academy at Treadmill Mall.
And after you graduated from that, where'd you go?
The Holly Springs Police Department, where I completed FTO and was assigned to uniform patrol.
And how long did you do patrol?
I did patrol at Holly Springs for a year. Then I went to the Woodstock Police Department, where I was employed for 4 years. I was a canine officer and a member of the A-10 Traffic Enforcement Network and assigned to uniform patrol. In July of 2007, I went to the Cherokee Sheriff's Office, where I was first assigned to
At
the
the
Wallessa
mall?
Precinct.
Yeah, that's what he
and then
said.
to the Bridgeville Precinct. And in 2008, I was selected to become a member of the Violent Crime Unit. At the end of 2008, we combined ourselves with the Criminal Investigations
Okay,
Division.
we're
where I
gonna
remained
flick through his
until,
introduction.
2021.
Blah 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 blah. Working with the crime scene, printing portions, photography. Blah, blah, blah.
And a practical exam.
Don't care, don't care, don't care.
Parts of the driveway secured off. We had some detectives there, and I was just told, hey, we have a
does, it
pile
looks like
here
he has two
to
black
the left side of the
eyes.
house we need you to go look at. The detectives really didn't have a firm idea of what was going on at that moment. And I said, sure, we'll walk out there and see what we got.
Let me pull up some photographs that already been admitted into evidence. This is aerial 3. You follow the pointer here. Can you see that pointer?
Yes, you see the pointer.
When you go up the driveway here, you're talking about you came up and then right here would be the garage and the house. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, nice pink pointer.
And then the burn pile was back over here in the woods over here.
Oh, it's not there. Yes.
This is aerial 16. I'm going to fast forward. You come around the left side of the house.
No, J-Rock. And how are you, J-Rock?
And what I can do is I'm going to fast forward just to the...
Yeah, this man was
So it's
definitely
aerial 16. Basically where this drawing
hit
is
by many
that kind of
branches
how
on the
layout
trip
from
down the ugly
burn
tree.
pile to the house. Is that what it looks like? Now this was a year later, but
Yes, that was, even being a year later, it was still the same distance. Nothing had changed other than we had progressed a year.
if you were to walk from the house to the burn pile, are you going downhill or uphill?
You were going downhill, a slight downhill angle.
Then aerial 17. You got the doors on the left, the ones I'm calling American doors to the right, the French doors, and then as this keeps turning to the right, the burn pile would be back down that way. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
What did you know you were looking at, or what y'all were dealing with when you first arrived? I know it changes at some point, but when you first get there, what's going on?
So when
Well,
I
I
walked
looked
up to
for a
the-
bathroom.
to what we call the pile, we have this burn pit. I can still feel heat radiating off of it, and I can see what appears to be a set of skeletal remains sitting on top of this pile. There appears to be construction debris and all this other miscellaneous garbage in this pile, but it's very clear to me.
Well, you see, the thing about it is, J-Rock, he says, chap, we must rally to Dali's banner and help him restore his name and honor.
Freedom!
Well, the problem is with that he started this, right?
No.
Like, no, you did.
My name is Ilya.
Yeah. Yeah, you did. And I did, like, I have said to you several times, if you get sick of being called Ilya, all you have to do is say,
You've never once told me that, ever. What are you talking about?
do you want me to get out clips of me saying that?
That was all backstage. I mean, you've never said that.
I have.
My name is Ilya. I don't mind that much.
Yeah,
There-
see, you've
look,
got a
with-
voice.
With
Yeah,
Hella,
beautiful waterfall calls him Satchel.
with Hella, I have learned to pick my battles. And this is not a battle I need to pick with her. There's plenty of other things I can spend my energy on. We really are like a married couple.
No, we're not.
In that,
Anyway, let's continue.
That I was looking at a set of skeletal remains.
can you see me?
On the left side? I immediately got everybody back
Yeah,
out.
I can see, but you're very
And then
buffery.
started to request additional assets
Okay.
as I'm starting to size up my scene and determine
I'm gonna have to go
how I'm
soon.
going to try and recover these remains in a forensic manner.
When you first called out, did you both of you respond to a person in need of help, or what was it called?
It's a death investigation that they were not sure what they had.
When you get out there, do you remember the temperature of the taken from the burn pile when you got out there?
I know it was initially warm.
Dahlia talk.
One of the things that I did request was have one of the fire
Dahlia
investigators
talk.
come out, someone come out with thermal to give me a temperature.
Stop
When
it,
they were finally
Ghost.
able to get out there, it was still over 200 degrees Fahrenheit, with daylight still up at that time.
Just still hot.
Still hot.
You back everybody out, then what happens from there?
I requested through my chain of command to contact the GBI and the forensic
Buff.
anthropologist, Dr. Alice Gooding, to get her to come out and assist
No.
us with recovering the set of skeletal remains.
And why did you call Dr. Goody? What was about her that made you call her?
Well, one, she's the state forensic anthropologist. This is definitely well within inside her wheelhouse. And two, I'd never done this outside of a training environment. I did not know what I had. I know I had a set of skeletal remains on a pile. It was radiating heat at over 200 degrees. I don't know how this person got there, how they got to the state. And I'm not
Oh, stop
so
it,
far in my ego,
Farris.
though. I can do this on my own without calling experts who I know are going to, one, help teach me how to properly document, so to ensure that we properly document and correct this entire set of
Yeah, we
remains.
do have the world's
And
biggest
for
ocean
me, that's
between us.
important because
Otherwise,
that
there
person
might be
has
violence.
a family. I want to make sure we're doing our absolute best
Or
to ensure that we do this correct, because we only have one chance to do this. And so if I
Most
can call
likely
help,
violence.
that help is here in our state, I'm going to use it.
I only
Have you
say
ever had
that
a
because
conflict
there's an
before?
ocean
I've
between
never
us.
worked a crime scene like this. I have worked, burned, 2 self-immolations.
All right,
and
hello, we're
suicide by
making
fire.
chat
I've worked
nervous.
those, but never one to this scope where I have both fire and skeletonized remains in an area that I know I
Say
need to
Ilya
properly
T-Bone
document
Satchel.
and recover.
Did you know of Dr. Goody, reputation or anything, or what was it about her that made you know that she does this type of stuff?
So through our crime scene community, we knew that Dr. Gooding, one, was in charge of the crime scene work at KSU.
Taryn.
She's the lead instructor down there. She has been going in with the Georgia Public Safety Training Center and starting to teach similar classes that students would get at the NFA here at the local level for our local crime scene investigators. And a lot of the classes that she had been teaching and that we had been pushing are scattered recovery remains and what we call buried recovery remains. She was able to teach those classes at the Georgia Public Safety Training Center down in Monroe County. She was coming to a lot of our, I had heard her speak at the Georgia IAI conferences because I'm a member of that. And so that's where I started to learn what her mission, what her outlook was. And she said, anytime you need us, call. We all had her number. She made
I
it known that
didn't
we could
kick
call
you
her
out.
for consult. And if we needed help doing a recovery, because she was the state's forensic anthropologist, we could call her. And I did.
And did she come?
She did.
What is she like? What's her personality like?
She's an educator, but she's awesome. She did bring one of her master's candidate students, and she was very nice to ask permission before allowing that master's candidate student into the scene. They are all vetted through her program, so that person
Okay,
is
so there were
documented in my
students there
report.
that day.
But she
Yeah,
shows
his
up with all
internet's
her gear
struggling.
ready to go. And so I actually had to tell her, okay, hold on. I got to lay some groundworks for what we're doing because it's still our case.
Yeah,
But I did
nah.
call her for help. But she's super
Nah, his
outgoing.
internet's
She's
just
very
screwing
easy to
up.
talk to. And she started explaining stuff to myself and my lieutenant again, and it started to come back to us as we're laying certain lines to start setting up our recovery. But ultimately,
Look at his
because she's the
teeth.
state forensic anthropologist, I let her take lead on it. That's her purview because she's also going to catalog those remains. She's going to make sure we document the complete skeleton, and she's going to make her notes because she's going to produce a report for us too because this is a police
It's kind of
investigation.
ironic that he's about
Growing
to
up on
start
the force
talking
thing,
about
like Indiana
skeletal
Jones,
remains,
goes to
and
a
that's like you can actually see his skeletal remains in his mouth.
How would you describe Dr. Goody's system that she would get in and start doing stuff? What was that like?
Exactly the way I was taught at the National Forensics Academy because she helped teach up there, and that we do use brushes. What you do see in that is actually real. Had this been a buried, we would have had a 5-gallon bucket. It would have taken several hours to do this, but we have our lines laid and everything's broken down into grids, and we don't move from one grid to another until she says it's clear and she's got her catalog going. And so it's very systematic. It's fast, but it's slow where we can make sure we're accurately documenting everything.
She would take the burn pit, did she divide it into 4 quadrants, 4 sections?
Yes.
And how, would you rope it off, or what we're going to see in the photographs?
So what we do is we start to lay what we call a datum line. That's our north-south line. So you're going to see orange string, and you're going to see it broken into quadrants, and you're going to see arrows indicating north. And what we're doing is we're trying to express in 2 dimensions something that is 3-dimensional. So when we attack a scene like this, we're looking at it on 3 axes. We're looking at it from length, from width, but we also want to show height
fast,
and
but
depth.
it's slow.
That way we can explain
Yeah.
how far down certain remains are. And it's more defined when we're actually in a vault recovering from the ground. But we still do it on the scattered because we want to show how far or how close something is in relation to the central mass, if you will. So if
Central
we have a large
mass.
mass in the center, we're going to say that's the center, and then we're going to measure out and say our furthest point is 6 feet down and 8 feet across.
Get to
And
the
if I can
point
show
you
you
wanna
that in 3
see.
dimensions on a picture, it makes it easier than just reading off numbers.
Did she bring anything?
She brought all her tools, but sifters, buckets, garden trowel, stuff you would find in the gardening center of any Home Depot, Lowe's, or Walmart. That's what
I
we use.
didn't
They're all clean and sterile.
kick- and
she
my
brings
name's
them
not
with her.
Lucia.
But it's common
didn't
tools that
kick
you
him.
recognize, except for our sifter. Our sifter's
His
waste
internet's
level.
not working. And
Each
I actually
forensics expert builds theirs to
PS.
meet their needs.
got out of bed super early and saved him because his internet was not working. So,
Did you have an opportunity to meet with us and go through all these pictures, the videos, and everything?
Yes, sir.
And were they fair and accurate photographs of what was done at the scene and other things in this case?
Yes, sir.
Just at the time I attended other states, excuse me, state's exhibits, but it's Shaw 1 through Shaw 281.
Right.
let's go.
All right. You good?
Just in case you should pop a little bit. Judge, may we turn down the lights a little bit for these? Would that be okay? All right, so we're going to walk through some photographs. May call them States 1 or Shaw 1 or 1, but all these photographs are going to have your name and a number. Shaw 1, what do we have here?
So with this first series of photographs, all I'm doing is taking overall photographs outside of the crime scene tape.
As you look at 1, as you look at the photograph, there's a pine tree to the right, and is that the beginning of the burn pile?
So this oak right
oak?
here, that is
Okay.
is directly in front of the left side of the pile, and that pile extends from that tree over to the right.
This is 2. We'll be moving to the right. 3, 4. Now this stage, there's no really markings or anything. What is this? How early on is this in the processing the scene?
I'm waiting for Dr. Gooding to arrive, but I'm still taking pictures, trying to do something to be ahead so that when she arrives, we can tackle the next task.
But you didn't dive into the pile and start doing things until you
No, sir.
arrived on the scene. 5, 6. And was there anything with the pile itself when you first got there that you noticed and thought, here are some things of interest?
You know, other than the skeletal remains, I, for whatever reason, kept getting the smell of citronella. And I don't know
Citronella?
why. And that's not a normal smell for me at a death investigation. I mean, I generally smell other smells related to the artifact of death. But I kept smelling citronella, and I was like, did I spill some when I was filling mine at my house? I don't know, but I just, every now and again, as I walk around the pile,
Why
I
would
could
that
just
be
smell it.
citronella?
8, 9, just going back. Now, 13, this is looking from one side of the pile, and you said it was
Yeah.
still hot to the touch. Was it on one side or certain parts of it on that way?
So I didn't walk all the way around. When I got close to it, you know, did most of it, I stick my hand, I was like, that's still radiating some pretty good heat. And I own firefighter rated boots because I do sometimes have to go into arson scenes. And I wasn't willing to walk close to that in those boots. I was like, let me see what the actual temperature is. 1, I wanted it to be safe, and 2, I needed to document it because it was still radiating quite a bit of heat for this condition.
And how can you compare that? How hot is that for 72 degrees?
We boil water at 212. We can get scalding burns, I believe, between 110 and 160. That's hot enough for me to go, I'm not willing to melt polyester to my skin, and I'm not willing to risk the firefighter rating of these boots. We get an expert out here, see what the temperature is, and see how long we need to wait
Show us them both.
before we can actually work.
Shaw 14, as I zoom in,
What's that?
what did you notice first when you got to the pile?
So this one, I'm on the left side, and I'm shooting over. I can see what appears to be part of a hand, or at the time what I think is a hand. I see what appears to be part of the rib cage, and I'm starting to orient myself. I see parts of different degrees of what I believe are temperature variations. So when we look at something, we say clothing initially blocks heat, it won't burn evenly. That's what I'm seeing in my head, and I'm trying to figure this out, but I see that it's compact too. I'm like, okay, is this someone who's fallen over? Because I don't see what we would traditionally think of as a full skeleton of a human being. So did someone fall over? Did someone experience some sort of issue that caused them to fall here? All these are running through my head as I'm taking these pictures, trying to process this and think of next steps to go. How am I going to document this, and what am I going to look for?
Well,
And
it's
at this time, do you know
kind
anything
of
about a
bullet
bullet in the
related.
ribs or anything like that?
No, sir.
15, 16.
Oh yeah,
So now we're getting on to 18.
don't
What do we
worry,
have in
we're
this
going to
picture
see
before?
much more of
So
it.
these are the start of the forensic anthropology examination. So we're marking flags, and you start to see wooden stakes go down for our datum lines. And then we have master's candidates and the deputy coroners in helping to rake and clear while we're taking pictures.
And as you look at the exhibit, Shaw 18, the photograph, I've got the cursor here. It appears that on the right side, there's an angle or it slopes down or goes downhill to the left. Is that right?
Yes.
20 is kind of showing that angle, that downhill looking up. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, on the outside of the fire pit, there appears to be that wood and things that are charred but not burned.
Yes.
Maybe some vegetation.
Correct.
23, we start to get markers. Now the A, I know that's going to be renumbered at some point, but what are we doing here in 24? What's it showing?
I have no
We
idea,
are starting
David.
to build our quadrants. So we're laying down our north-south line and our east-west. We're also, we have angle indicators on those lines so that if we need to run a tape measure
Yeah, I thought I
crossing,
heard that
we can
too,
see what
Sherry.
that angle is at that measurement point. So we run the lines and then run the tape. We have our 4 quadrants, but the lines aren't completely square, and we keep it within our boundaries of where we see evidentiary goodies.
And we're going to get into this, but I believe quadrant, it goes top on the right side, A, B, C, D, kind of going in this direction, clockwise.
Yes, I believe we went clockwise that night.
And you see B in Shaw 30 photograph. And then there are some flags that are put down with those to indicate things that you just see on the top.
Items of evidence on the top.
Here shows the, Shaw 32 shows the 4 quadrants.
Correct.
So this is A, B, C, D. And most of the evidence, the remains were found in A and B, is that?
In A and B.
What? Hang on, do you want me to pause? What is that? That's like there's bits of skull or something. Hang on. Let's go back a little bit. Let's just go. Because he's going so fast. There we go. What is that? The hand is not over the hand. Is that ribs or is that a hand? There. What do you guys think? Oh, actually, no, that's ribs. That is ribs there. Look. Wow. And look, that looks like a femur or something. Look at that. Guys, look. Look at that one there. Shit. Holy hell. Whoa. Jeez Christ. So if that's ribs, and then that would be part of his leg? Or maybe arm. Wow. That big block mark in the center is a skull. What block mark? Which block mark are you talking about? You can see eye holes where? Block mark. What do you mean? I don't know what you mean. Where is the skull? I can't see. I can't see the skull. All right, let's keep going.
Items of evidence on the top.
Here shows the, Shaw 32 shows the 4 quadrants.
Correct.
So this is A, B, C, D. And most of the evidence, the remains were found in A and B, is that?
In A and B.
What? Hang on, wait. Okay, that was what we were just looking at. Holy hell. What is that? Like, that looks like there. That looks like a leg or arm bone. Ah, that's... Okay, I reckon that's a skull. Do you reckon that's a skull? Eye holes confirmed. I don't see any eye holes.
Human Shaw 51 we're going to go into. Tell us again, how would you attack each to remove things and collect things? What would you actually do? Do you use the shovel, hands? What did you go down? How did you pick stuff up and how did you sift through it?
So We start with our hands first. It's our most tactile sense. So we're going to start in our quadrant. Someone's writing down. We'll start with the large items that we can see and identify, and then from there we will start to grab shovels and trowels to pick up areas of ash and debris to go over to the sifter. And those will be transferred from
What, your
a specific
bare
quadrant
hands?
being documented by the scribe there, and then put in a bucket. From there, taken to the sifter. The sifter is placed over the blue tarps, something that will contrast with us, and then it's one bucket at a time. We'll sift it, look through the sifter, empty the tarp back into the bucket, check the sifter, make sure we don't have anything, catalog, document that, and then we just keep rinsing and repeating as we go through these buckets. So everything starts to slow down at that point once
Rinse
we've
and repeat.
removed big items that we can readily see and identify.
When you found an item of interest, what would you do with it? Is there,
So
Dr. Goody, who laid
it's-
out, or what would you do?
There's laid out on tarps. However, Dr. Gooding wants to do that. Like I said at the beginning, she's kind of running that. I'm just making sure, one, I'm learning, and two, anything that she needs. But she's running that process. But she's laying stuff out on tarps. She's cataloging the skeletal remains as they're removed, checking on us. I get to do the manual labor. I was sifting some stuff. We're also continuing to rake and make sure that we don't miss anything within that specific quadrant. Once we're done with that quadrant, we move on.
In Shaw 55, we have these, you can see the ground has markings like, was that how that was, or is that something y'all did?
That's from us raking.
Did you notice around the burn pile itself, was any signs of raking or a tractor had been used for something to clear the land?
No, not around that, because the area on the edge of the burn pile was still green with vegetation.
But did you see that was evidence that tractor or RTD was in that area?
Not during this point of the investigation.
This is 57, what's going on here? Is this just an example of
We're
what?
examining small bone fragments.
58, what is, just scooping buckets, is that how that would work?
Yet we're troweling, using a dustpan, we're troweling into the bucket. Once we're satisfied with that, it goes to the sifter. We sift it. Again, we look for small bone fragments, items of evidence, pieces of clothing, and lay those out.
Shaw 62, what is this?
That is a picture of our sifter in one of the buckets that we sifted.
And you would sift it,
What?
and the bigger piece would remain on top like this?
Yes.
What? Look at that. Okay, that reminds me of the Chandler Halderson trial. You remember when the anthropologist testified, and she was so excited about like cleaning out the trap, whatever it's called. We don't really have fireplaces here in Australia, but is it called a dust trap or ash trap? That's right. And yeah, she was so excited because they cleaned it out and they got all bits of bone out like that. And she was like, "We found 172 pieces of bone." Yee. And yeah, it looked like that. Wow. Look at it all. Is this exactly how you catalog an archaeological site? Yeah. Is this a gold pan sifting for body parts? Kind of. Ash dump. I think she called it an ash trap. But anyway, you guys would know. It's an ash hole. She gets disappointed seeing one bone. Yeah. Well, she's kind of like that lady who's trying to break the record, you know? If you can call her a lady.
And then we'll go through those with the forensic anthropologist, the master scan it. We'll pick out the bone fragments. Those will get cataloged. Pieces of construction debris will be examined. If it's not of any evidentiary value, it's returned to another area. Items of evidentiary value are set aside to be cataloged later.
Up to this time in your career, have you been or responded to scenes where a person's body, whether it's alive or dead, a person's body has been greatly demolished, cut up, hurt, broken, otherwise lost injuries? You know, how many of those have you been to?
I've been to several hundred of those.
And have you seen bones and things like that? Did you recognize certain type of bones, or was the experts able to recognize it much quicker?
They're able to recognize them much quicker, but that's part of my NFA training is a week of anthropology. And I was called many times upon our return by detectives from all over the county. Hey, we found this bone. You know, Fido brought this bone up to the house. Can you look at it? And I had books that I would carry with me to help me identify the difference between animal and human.
Have you worked shootings when people have been actually shot?
Yes, sir.
You ever seen anybody get shot and still be able to move or walk a distance?
Oh, yes, sir.
Like what?
One of the last cases I worked, the shooting victim went 125 feet before he collapsed. Shot inside a home, collapsed on the street after traversing an outer porch, down a set of stairs, across a very large front yard, until he collapsed in the street.
Look what you did to me.
Have you seen people that have been shot,
You gave me
even
an
after they've been
STD,
shot, to be
I
able to
went
go a
to
distance
the
and move on their
doctor.
own?
Oh, yes, sir.
It
How about blood?
was
Do people,
starting
different
to
levels of when people are
burn.
shot, and how much blood is there?
That depends on the projectile type, where the person was shot. Did it hit a major artery? Did it hit a bunch of muscle? Did it hit bone and deflect somewhere. That really depends. And then what were they wearing? Is it wintertime? Are they wearing several layers, or are they wearing a pair of shorts and a t-shirt?
A different amount of blood, even though people have been shot. You seen that?
Yes, sir.
63, just a sifting again.
Yes, sir.
64,
Still sifting, looking for small.
65.
Same.
And then 66, what are we doing here?
We are at what we call the bottom. We have now hit Earth. So we have recovered all of the burned material, whatever that may be. And so we will scrape another layer just to ensure that we've not missed anything. So we try to go to Earth and then scrape a layer.
I've seen the photographs that it's daylight and it's nighttime. How long were y'all out there?
I believe I watched the sun go down and come back up that particular day. 4 or 5 a.m. is when I finally left the first full cycle of work.
Painstaking process, slow and tedious.
Yes, sir.
67, what are we doing here?
We are running our metal detector. We want to make sure we don't leave anything.
Did you find any blood at this thing on the burn pile?
No, sir.
What was
As I
that?
go through these, this is the blue tarp photographs. What are we doing here?
So we're just documenting stuff that we found within those quadrants.
Well, that's not a bone. This is a bone.
Now we'll get into these. What are this Shaw 83? What are these photographs of?
These are photographs of the skeletal remains that were recovered.
What? Flood, are you retarded, sir? Hey, Kat, how are you?
At some point during the investigation, there was something.
I've seen a
found
few,
in the-
Daniel
Do you
D.
remember when that happened?
Yes, I believe it was well after midnight.
Why are they going through them so fast?
I
Wait,
was-
we'll go back 10 seconds. Jesus Christ. Like, that didn't get burned up too bad. That's still got, like, cartilage and stuff and tendons. Dear. Oh, is that the bullet? Oh, look at that. It's lodged right in there. Hang on. Okay, let's start again.
Blue tarp photographs. What are we doing here?
So we're just documenting stuff that we found within those quadrants.
Okay.
Now we'll get into these. What are this Shaw 83? What are these photographs of?
These are photographs
What is that? Oh, that's like an elbow or something?
of the skeletal remains that were recovered.
Wow. I don't know what that is. Oh, make a wish. Jesus Christ. What's that? Guys, what's that? Is that part of his hand or foot? Do you think it's a hand? Okay. Wow. It just goes to show you, doesn't it? Like, this clearly, like, was burning for a really long time and probably had a lot of accelerant on it, but you can't, it takes a lot to dispose of a body. Like, you can't get rid of the whole lot of it. It's impossible. It's impossible to get rid of it. Hello, whole beat Hannon. We need a hella reaction compilation video. This is pretty much it. Wow, look at that. Look at, like, it's charred all the way through there. But then it's like chopped off. Urgh. He doesn't care. What is that thing? I don't know what that is. What's a metacarpal and a phalanges? It's his Mountain Dew hand. What's that? What is that? Ew.
At some point during the investigation, there was something found in a rib. Do you remember when that happened?
Yes, I believe it was well after midnight when I was made aware that something had been discovered lodged in the rib cage.
He was raising his fist at her. Great focus there. What is that? Okay. that
138.
doesn't
Did you remember how
show
to describe the people that seen what was found? How they refer to it as?
I don't remember I don't remember if they said it looked like an eraser or, I don't remember what exactly they came and told me. I do remember they said, hey, we found something, you have to come look at this now. I said, okay.
What happened from there when that was found?
So I walked back down to the pile where they're working. Dr. Gooding and her team are still working. Investigator Olenek, who was taking my picture, says, Farris, here you go. And I went, that looks like a projectile. Everybody stop what you're doing right now. I had to explain to Dr. Gooding, ma'am, I need you to stop for a moment. Everybody stop. Went and got one of the detectives. I believe I went and got Lieutenant Clark, but I know I let Lieutenant Ballard in and know. Say, hey, we've got a projectile. We also had to stop and let the coroner know at this point because now we've just changed our dynamics of our investigation. And so we had to take a hard pause while the detectives figured out their next steps. And so I had to wait for them until we could get back to work on what we were doing.
You were investigating a death.
Correct.
Now you're investigating possibly a murder. Is that how it shifted?
Yes.
Didn't find any gun. So if it's a suicide, you respond to a suicide. What do you look for?
The same things I look for in a homicide. We'll try to look for defect. I'm looking for angle of entry, back spatter. A gun location doesn't necessarily mean anything to me because I've had suicide victims do weird things with guns. A note, sometimes I find them, sometimes I don't. But I know in a relatively short amount of time if I'm working with a suicide or if I'm working with something else. This case was unique because, yes, we had a projectile, but it was still in a set of burned remains. So the best thing to do was to stop and get everybody on the same sheet of music at this point.
What is that? Oh my god. Okay. Wait. I might get struck for that.
Shaw 166. What? Do you remember finding this?
Yes,
Seeing this?
I remember seeing that.
Jesus Christ.
Now,
Yeah, well, beautiful waterfall. You want to know where the skull was? There it was.
came back out at some point and we're working the scene, but there's a photograph taken of a tire mark. It's Shaw 174, and in relation to where everything is at, in Shaw 174, when you look at these tire marks, what is at the top of the picture?
That's the pond they have on their property in between the main house and their pastures and their barn out to the far right.
That was cooked all right.
This is 177, and the pattern there has a unique pattern. We're going to look at this pattern of the tires on our TV later on. And then I believe there was a dive done to look for the gun in the pond.
Yes, sir.
Were you there for that?
Yes, sir, I was.
After you were in,
Sure, yeah, she's
you actually did
innocent.
some other things while you were at the scene.
Well, I think it was Scott too.
Were you able to go home on, so July 5th, Thursday, you probably worked into Friday morning, July 6th. Did you able to go get some sleep, or come back, what'd you do?
I think there was
That
2 or
was
3 hours where I was
York.
released and then came back
I knew him well.
When you came
Friday,
back,
finished the pile. Cherokee Fire Search and Rescue was in the pond. We completely sifted the pile. We also did line searches of the area behind the pile while the detectives were inside the house doing their searches.
Now that I've seen the skull, I believe more than ever that he was a narcissist. That's the skull of a narcissist.
let me jump. I'm gonna come back to it. It looks like you came also back on July 11th, and you were working with Ballard's processing scene, some of the scene, I believe, or was,
Yes, so those dates
Gina
aren't
and
running, but,
Babu
I
have
was
no
out there
pig.
for
That's for your
everything that
channel.
I have.
and we're gonna get to the photographs here, but to July 6th, looked like
talking
you
about?
came out and there was a blood stain that you thought some interest on the front door on the floor.
Yes, while we were still working the pile and I had the fire investigator was collecting some items, I was asked to go in and assist CSI Thrasher and CSI Eckerd with some stains that they had located. My command asked me to give it a second look and do some documentation and some field testing.
And then you, there was one stain, there was actually a window, and there's 4 things that you looked at, but looks like you field tested the stain positions number 1 and 3. Do you remember doing that?
Yes.
And then, I guess they were tested for mammalian blood using a OBITS test?
Hexagon OBTIS test.
OBTIS, okay. And did stain number 1, was that positive for blood, mammalian blood?
I believe that one was, yes.
And this test that you use, what is it and what is the OBTIS test?
And so it's what we call a field presumptive test that we can do at a scene to see if a stain that we're looking at, 1 is blood, and if it is blood, if it's mammalian blood. So we'll use these at a scene to eliminate certain stains and then prioritize collection of other stains.
And then you also, on the 6th, I believe, found a deer camera near the burn pile?
Yes, while we were doing our
Deer
walks,
camera.
I saw a
Ooh,
trail
a
cam
deer camera.
sitting on a trail leading behind the pile to the left down a well-worn path, and it was walking a ranch fence.
What do you mean by that?
You know, the post fence with the wire to keep cattle or horses separate. I call it a ranch fence.
And did you
Correct,
collect that
Brandon.
SIM card and things like that from the camera?
Yes, I did.
Yes, same county,
And then
same
on
same
July 11th,
courtroom.
2018, you came back again, and this is when you were helping, well, I guess this was at the sheriff's office. Y'all took some items back and you helped Lieutenant Ballard process the shirt that we're looking at.
Yes.
I think the shirt was originally found in the house as we're looking at Shaw 178. Is this that maroon shirt that we're talking about?
It is.
What's this? So what's
And
what's
then I
what
believe the
about
sleeve,
the
at some point
shirt?
y'all took that and had it sent off to the GBI, is that right?
I did not do any further processing after what I did in the lab. I know we
So
did
it's like, fuck it.
note some stains and let the detective know there was some stuff there that could be sent off.
Right.
I don't
Fuck it,
recall if it
screw
was-
it.
We stipulated the
And
report,
restaurant.
items were sent to the GBI and tested.
Oh, yes, sir.
188, this is a picture on the, I think on the front of the shirt. What did that look like to you?
To me, at first breath, it looked like a scorch mark.
Consistent with soot or something from fire?
To me, it just looked like a scorch mark. It was something that was important enough for me to document. So I wanted to make sure that my case detective knew, hey, this is here.
All right. And then there was a OBTI test done on the shirt for blood, and what is this? It looks like a protein test, but that's what this
So
is.
this is and this was done at the house. This is in our lab. So what you see is the testing vessel of the hexagon test. It uses a cotton swab and a liquid in the test kit. You will swab the suspected blood stain, collect that on that swab, and then you'll clip it off into the fluid. It's a phenolphthalein style solution. Give it a good shake, count, and then you'll break off an end. You'll pour it into the area marked S, it's that trough, and then you wait. And so the first line you'll see is the control. That tells you, hey, test is working correctly. The second line, the T, that's your positive for mammalian blood.
So the control C and the T here. And then some shoes were taken from the house, 2 pair of Nike shoes, is that right? That's what we have here.
Correct.
And then the ones here, these blue Nike.
They look like Scots.
And did y'all notice things on these?
I saw what appeared to be some suspected blood stains on the shoes that I wanted to test.
And is that what this OBTI test is here?
Yes, we did one at the scene, and then we did some more follow-up
It's
in the
called
lab.
COVID.
Now, the Shaw 211, when you came back, I believe the 7th, keep my notes. The 6th, the next day, so July 6th. This is the front door here, so as we're standing here looking towards the kitchen table area, we're talking about this area on the floor here, is that right?
Yes.
Shaw 215, is this the spot we're talking about?
Yes.
Oh, look at that. Guilty.
That was 1, and that was tested positive for blood.
Yes.
Again, going back, I believe the 11th, y'all bring evidence back to the sheriff's office, and we're going to be processing some evidence here. Where is this actually at in the sheriff's office?
So this is at our headquarters building in the old section of our jail at 498 Chatton Drive. We have the bottom section, which was our old staff dining that we converted into our lab.
Again, the shirt.
I need to get a close look at that shirt.
What do we
I'm
have
sure
here?
it says fuck it.
And so I've put this shirt under an alternate light source. I'm just looking at it.
This is 232 for the record, sorry.
I'm looking at it under UV light UV, blood is the only liquid in the body that doesn't fluoresce under UV light. It's going to turn brown. All I'm using this force to help locate and verify what I'm seeing in the natural light is a location that I need to pay attention with when I take pictures or do any
Good question. I
field
don't think they
presumptive
ever
testing.
said whose shirt it was.
They brought the shoes back too.
Yes.
And
I
then
think we're just
you and-
supposed to assume that
you and
these
Ballard
are all
processed the-
melodies.
I believe the RTV, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And swabs were taken from, looks like the RTV, the L2 shifter, the shifter up here on the steering wheel, I believe. The swab was taken from there, GBI item 25B, and that was taken sent off to the GBI. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yes, AG. He did have a gun.
And then also y'all tried to look at and process the Kubota, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah,
I
he
noticed
was
the tire
massive.
marks on the Kubota tractor. And this type of tractor, is it one of those kind of easy to drive? You press forward, goes forward, press back, goes backwards?
I don't know anything about the operation of the tractor, but I know this one is not one of the models I'm used to where you have to run the handle up on the top side and engage the brake. But as far as the movement, I'm not familiar with it.
But you see the pedals here on the right.
Yes, sir.
This says Shaw 264. What do we see here?
So we're looking at a chemoluminescence reaction with the application of Blue Star
Y'all having a
onto
pig
the
roast?
hood of the tractor closest to the fuel filling station.
Looks
Oh,
like
it's
something in
pockets.
264 is blue here, as I point to it, and blue below it here. What is that? And there's some blue over here.
And that's an indication of blood.
Could it be something else?
There are instances of false positives with Blue Star. However, when we see those, we'll see those pop like fireworks and then fade away very quickly. Blue Star lasts longer in its chemoluminescence than the other chemoluminescence that we would use. And so not only is it glowing, but you can see where it's attached itself to any trails of blood as it runs. So we know this to not be a false positive. It's an indicator that there could potentially be blood there.
Is your reputation as a crime scene investigator is important to you?
It's very important to me.
Oh, here
If somebody,
we go.
not that they would do this, but if someone's there and just says, take a fast picture of this or something like that, are you going to let anybody tell you how to process the evidence?
Not on my case, no, sir.
No, you're not going to just, if it pops real fast, get a real quick picture, are you?
No, sir.
And we've got some photographs here going through the RTV. Now, as we get into, this is 268, we get into things that we're going to try to do something. All right, if you would, Judge, with your permission, I'd like him to sit down and actually show how we do these. But this is 268-1. This is 268. Can you see it very clearly? Looks like just darkness, doesn't it?
Yes, but I can see it because I'm a yes, it is a dark picture. When we shoot Blue Star, it has to be dark.
Now, this is 268.1, which is the same thing. If you don't mind, come down here and show the jury how you can use the shading to make it
Right,
pop.
Brandon?
You want to drive the mouse?
Yeah, I'm going to let him drive, Judge. So this is
Hey,
268.
Marjorie Smith, how are you? Good to see you. I haven't seen you for a bit.
So inside Windows 11, they basically have a free version of Lightroom, which is what I used at the sheriff's office. And so for pictures where we want to do some basic lighting adjustment, if we're shooting in an ultralight, we can come over here to the adjustment side. And here we look at brightness, exposure, contrast, our highlights, our shadows, and we can move these slides all the way to the left, all the way to
He's
the
a
right
bit of a
until we get
mean-looking
whatever we
copper.
want to be exposed. And so, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the software was supposed to be loud.
Apologize. What we'll do is we'll move these sliders left and right until we get the desired exposure that we want. So helping to kind of clean up, if you will. We're not actually changing the photograph because we don't save it to the original image. It will always be a copied image. And so for these, when we started to, we were pulling out the brightness and our exposure. And then we'll take our contrast and we want to see how it goes. We're going to run it all the way to the negative to get it to come up. Our highlights wasn't really doing anything but our shadows. And so we would run that for those photographs to
Hang on.
bring
Can
it
we
up.
see
And I
this
know
properly? Not really.
your screen you
Oh,
can't
I
really
can
see,
see it a
but there
bit.
is.
My screen looks completely different.
Yes, sir. It has to. It probably has to deal with the tie-in. But I assure you that there is a change on a computer screen where we can then save it as a copy. And so in this instance where you see parentheses and a number, that is a saved copy. And then we can further explore that inside our metadata and make sure that we haven't altered an image. But that's how we do that in the Windows program.
I think if you have seen, I'll go through that, and I'm going to cancel it because I'm not going to save this one.
It doesn't show anything.
Test the settings on the monitor and see how to adjust it.
And share that more next time.
Yes, sir.
So 268, and then before trial, you were able to get with one of our investigators and adjust it. Is that right?
That is correct.
So this is 268-1, which is the adjusted, and what do we see here?
The chemiluminescent reaction, blue star on the towel that we located in the back of the RTV.
And what is that indication of what it could be, possibly?
An indicator of possibility of blood.
269,
Okay,
what do we
right,
see
so
here at the bottom?
It's on the
Chemiluminescent
edge
reaction.
of the towel.
And 269-1 with the adjustment, same thing?
Same thing.
270,
see
kind
a
of
bit of
right
highlight there.
here. 270.1, is that adjusted?
Yes, sir.
So let's see if the, so this is 270, and you just adjust the light, is that what you would do?
Yes.
So as I go with brightness to the left, it gets dark, if I zoom over, you actually can see it?
Yes, sir.
And then, so it takes a dark picture, when blue star on it, you're better able to actually see it pop, is that right?
We're able to see the chemiluminescence reaction.
Okay, was that the back of Zach's van? Because I don't see anything. Right.
And basically what I
Yeah,
just did there is what you do with
Marjorie,
these photos.
Yes, sir.
270, 270.1, same thing, adjusted, unadjusted, adjusted,
Correct.
271, 271.1, 272,
I'm finding it all
272.1.
incredibly difficult to
73.
get my head around how she could do this. He was in the barn where Scott
off that
shot him.
tower.
Yeah. Okay, well, all right. So maybe he
He's
was
had
shot in the
some
barn. Maybe
illumination from Blue
maybe
Star.
Scott
Did
came
you
into the house. Scott
process
was
the-
not far away.
The RTV, the tractor, the shoes, the shirt, the floor in the house. And we're going to probably talk about, probably tomorrow, and we'll get in, but you also assisted with some other things in the case. Did you go back out when they were, went back out, and I think about a year later, look for some casings on the property or some, there was a shooting range or something like that on the property. Did you go back out and help with that?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jury what
Scott
y'all were
knew
doing there.
Gary had
What were
been
you trying to
shot.
do?
No one else
We
believed
went
it.
back out a year later. We
How did he know that?
through the drone footage, we did some decibel meter testing, and there was an area on the lower
That was a towel
right side, it was
before.
down a pretty steep embankment, where they had an old tree that they were using for target practice, as folks do out in that part of the county. So I went out
They
there
said
looking
the
for
basement,
projectiles
Brandon.
to
That
see
was
if I
the
could locate a
prosecutor.
projectile that I could send to
They
the crime
think
lab
it was the
possibly match
basement.
to the two projectiles that were located that night at the scene.
You always trust
And did y'all collect
prosecutors.
casings, bullets, things like that, and bring it back, and some of that
Good
was
for you.
sent to the G gun?
Yes, sir.
I think we'll get into it tomorrow, but did you also come back out on July 18th, I believe, was it that year or the next year? I think it was the same year. And with the marshal's office, actually do some sound testing,
That was July 18th of 2019.
2019. About a year later, I believe, and then y'all came back out and had some equipment to actually do a test fire and then measure the loudness of those gunshots, is that right?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna stop here, Judge. I'm not gonna go into the test fire until tomorrow probably. I'm just gonna, can I tender it to them for their cross?
on this portion.
I think it would be easier for me to do it all at once, if that's okay with you.
Let's do something for. Yeah, let's try to split it up into what he's testified about now, and then we can cover this stuff tomorrow.
Okay.
All right, turn the lights. You need the photographs or turn the lights back up?
Oh, please.
3 weeks, Daniel D. 15 days.
Do a 24/7 kind of workout.
Good afternoon. Is it, because I know you're with the campus police now, right?
Yes, sir.
Is it Sergeant still or?
Officer.
Just Officer Shaw?
Yes, sir.
Officer Shaw, my name's Michael Ray, representing Mr. Farris. Let's find it logical. Okay, let's start here. So from what I gathered from Mr. Focus, going over
Get him.
all of your experience, was you're state certified in crime scene investigation, right?
Yes, sir.
You also attended the National Forensic Academy.
Yes, sir.
And at this point, on July the 5th, 2018, you were the lead crime scene investigator at the Purcell Lane House.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, in terms of crime scene investigation, the buck stops with you. Right? So, and then the person above you would have been Lieutenant Bauer.
Correct.
Right. So, the witnesses before you, if I've been yelling at them about things not being done, that's your fault. Fair to say?
Fair to say, yes, sir.
Okay. Now, so let's get into kind of what you did. with the house, because I know you had told me that you were still out at the burn pile around midnight, and you found a bullet in the rib
I love
around
it.
after midnight.
I believe it's
Let's
happening.
jump
All right. Now, we heard from was it Sergeant Westbrook? He's the one that actually noticed the bullet first?
Okay.
Good. Yeah. Not okay. Is that correct or
Really?
not correct?
Well, if he noticed it first, then that's correct.
Okay, well, wouldn't he have notified you if he found it first? I guess here's my question. Who found the bullet in the rib?
I was notified by investigator Olney.
Investigator who?
Olney. who was
Olney.
taking pictures. Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, so he told you, and then that's when you would have called Lieutenant Ballard, I'm assuming, or somebody.
Yes, sir.
All right. And that would have been presumably into July the 5th.
Into the 6th, I believe. We were out there on the 5th.
Okay, you came on the 5th. It would have been the 6th.
Yes.
All right. Okay. And you left at some point because you came back on the 6th.
Yes.
How did, because this is your crime scene, right?
Mhm.
How was the crime scene secured overnight? Because I'm assuming not everybody stayed out there all night long.
That is correct. So my crime scene vehicle stayed out there. The sheriff's office, we stationed deputies at the entry point onto the property with the crime scene log.
Okay, with the crime scene log, 24 hours a day?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, and that would have been done until y'all were done with the house. Now, I know y'all have been out there several other times, including over a year later, right?
Correct.
So, but during that relevant portion of time, law enforcement was there the entire time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, setting up the grid, and I'm sorry, because of the way your direct was, so just going to kind of jump around, okay? So if you don't understand what I'm asking, just let me know. So you called Gooding to come out just because that's what she does, right? She's an anthropologist.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So she comes out, and she's the one that sets up that grid, along with, you and whoever else.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So she would have done that. How long was it from the time you saw the body, made the determination, got the approval, that Dr. Gooding showed up?
Probably about 2.5 hours.
Okay. Is it during that period of time, because you testified earlier that the fire was so hot when you got there that you didn't feel comfortable working in it, right?
Correct.
All right. So did it cool off in that 2.5 hours to be a comfortable temperature for you to work in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What temperature did you let the fire get down to before you started working?
I don't recall if we measured it when I went into it. I know it was comfortable enough that we all made a determination we were going to start working.
Okay. Oh, it was measured by Shane Gaines, right?
Yes, sir.
With Cherokee Fire Investigator?
Yes, sir.
Okay. When you were out at the scene or at the burn pile, you're looking at the remains. Did at any point, did you touch any of the remains? Did you disturb any of the remains?
I did not.
Did any of the other investigators, as far as you know, touch or disturb any of the remains?
From the time I arrived on the scene, no one touched the remains until Dr. Gooding arrived.
Okay, so if Dr. Gooding comes and testifies, she was like, this is where we found this, this is where we found this, this is where we found this, then that is where it was, at least when you got there.
That is correct.
Okay, have you heard anything about anybody moving anything around prior to you getting there?
I was not made aware of anything.
Okay. I'm just pulling that up when I need it.
He's putting a lot of responsibility onto this.
You were talking about
witness.
this citronella smell and that you kept smelling around the burn pile, right?
Yes, sir.
Did anybody else, to your knowledge, ever say that?
I didn't hear anybody say it, no, sir. It
Okay.
was my observation.
Did you put it in your report?
I believe it's in my report.
Okay. You also you did note in your report that Shane Daniels had taken samples from the burn pile.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know whether or not those were ever tested for any type of accelerant or anything?
I believe they were sent off. Yes, sir.
Okay. Did that come back that you're aware of? The results of that?
I believe no accelerants came back.
Okay. You also, or do you know that Ms. Farris, they tested her hands for accelerants and that she was negative for accelerants? Did you know that?
If it was mentioned to me, then yes, but I know he did his fire investigator duties while at the scene.
Okay. So, best you know, there's no accelerants, right?
Oh,
Correct.
Correct. Oh. Now.
thank you, Dali Ilya.
You said that there was, you observed no blood at the burn pile, correct?
Correct.
And that would be, let me
I
pull this, 'cause this is
forgive
a
ya, my
tricky
bestie.
picture.
Take back what I said about ya.
So this is actually a photograph. The house is to your back, right?
Yes, sir.
Right. And so going from the house down to the burn pile, it's somewhat sloped, right?
Correct.
So you didn't observe any blood going from the house down to the burn pile, right?
I do not know, sir.
Okay.
Ah.
And you didn't observe any blood anywhere around the burn pile, right?
Correct.
Okay.
No blood from house to burn pile.
Number 150.
It was 300 pounds. Yes, you're right. Dali Talk has gifted 1, 2,
Okay. So that is
Three.
what you had originally referred to. or
Excited
some of the investigators
RS
referred to as the
memberships.
eraser.
1, 2,
Does that look
3.
like an eraser? All right.
Yes,
When that was
thank
taken,
you.
did Dr. Gooding or the coroner take that into evidence?
The coroner took the remains and evidence.
Okay, so Dr. Gooding got
So
them
was
from
another challenge.
pit, contained them somehow, and the coroner then took custody of it?
The remains were cataloged in white disaster bags so that the coroner could seal those and take those with her.
Okay. And as far as you know, this projectile was sent off to the crime lab as well?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Oh, thank you, David.
Bear with me, this thing scrolls kind of fast.
We'll make that full.
Going back to 174, Mr. Focus had asked you about the tire pattern here, 174, 175, 176, 177. Any imprints or anything done on that? But did you take any imprints of that, or did you just take photographs of it?
What do you mean by imprint, sir?
Yes,
I don't know,
how long does
like
it
see
take
Bigfoot
to
walking
burn a
around,
300-pound
like make a
man?
cast of it, so you can compare it to other things later?
Who wants
No,
to
I did
Google
not cast
that?
that at the scene.
Okay. Did you do anything else with it other than just take photographs?
No, sir, because I've got a top-down 1 to 190-degree photograph of it.
Okay, so you didn't need to do anything else with it?
I did not feel at the time I needed to do anything else with it. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Just since it's the order of the photograph, so that'll just make it the least confusing. So this red shirt, I understand you did not find the red shirt, right?
Correct.
All right. Do you know where the red shirt was found?
It was in the house, sir.
Okay. You don't know where in the house?
No, sir.
Okay.
You're going to lose your wrench, Brandon.
Do you know where the blood, because this was 190, was your test of the blood? What location on the shirt did you use your test?
You go back to the picture with the OB ABFO square, that's where we tested.
Well, this one?
No, sir, go back one. Go back one. There. Big stain.
Okay. This stain?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And I'm asking you because I don't know. Is that this stain? I'll flip between 186 and 187, okay? Is that the same stain? In the middle of the shirt?
I believe it'd be the same thing, yes, sir.
Okay. So if we go back to the whole shirt, we can get to it. So it's kind of right here, the right-hand side, almost directly below the logo. Fair enough?
On the left-hand side, yes, sir.
Okay. And that's what your testimony to this jury is, that tested positive as being blood.
Did feel presumptive, yes.
Okay. Feel presumptive for
Yes,
blood. Okay.
From mammary blood.
Yes.
Yes,
Yes. And are you aware that this shirt was sent to the crime lab?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Are you aware that the test came back for this shirt?
I know they did get test results back.
Okay. Do you have any indication of what those test results were?
I've been through several of them, so I don't recall right off the top of my head.
Okay, that's fine. We've got those people will come in later. So the next thing with these shoes, I believe didn't you try to do a test on these shoes and it was negative?
One shoe did show negative and one did show positive.
Okay. And one of them was also sent to the crime lab as well, right?
Yes.
Okay. And on stage 209, at the top on the right-hand side of the shoe, that's the spot where you tested?
Yes, the biggest thing, yes, sir.
Okay. And not putting words in your mouth, but that was sent to the crime lab, right?
The shoes were,
Yeah.
yes.
But you're probably not been enlightened as to what the results were on that.
I do know the ones that we tested in the lab did not come back. They came back positive for blood, but not for Mr. Farris. Came back with Mrs. Farris's blood.
Okay. But you don't know which shoe that refers to, right?
The
That
ones
was
in,
her
209.
blood?
Right here? This one?
Yes, sir. Those are
Okay.
the ones that we tested in the lab.
What the
Okay, so you
hell?
tested that, the 209, we'll just call those the blue Nikes. So that had Miss Farris's blood on it.
I believe that's what the report said. I was made aware of that.
Okay, you didn't do the testing.
I did the field presumptive testing in our lab, but we sent it down to the crime lab.
Okay, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Did anybody tell you what the crime lab said about it?
That I believe it came back. It was not Mr. Farris's blood.
Okay, exactly. Thank you. All right, now this
That's
little
important.
spot. So I'm going to show you 213. So this little entryway between the
They
front door
kinda
going
left
into
that out on
the dining
direct,
room.
didn't they?
There it is. That little spot.
They left the jury
there.
thinking that was Gary's blood.
Did you field test that spot specifically?
Yes, because it was a large volume.
Okay, so that is what you wrote in your report. That is stain 1.
Yes.
Okay, so that tested positive for blood.
Yes.
Okay. Did you then swab that and send it to the crime lab?
I don't recall if I swabbed it or not. I'm pretty sure I did. Now, whether it went to the crime lab, again, I don't know. I was never asked to complete that process and send it down.
It's Melody's blood.
We already established. Now this is your
344.
investigation, right? So who do you got to ask to send evidence to the crime lab?
So I conversate with the case detective.
So it'd be
Conversate.
Detective Hayes.
Yes. I
Okay.
would not make assumptions on the directions of his case.
So you would leave it up to him to decide what evidence you test and don't test? While you're actually investigating the crime scene?
The crime scene itself was already investigated. This is follow-up forensics investigation. And so
No, this
we
is
wouldn't
This testing that you did right here, this spot, stage 217, that's on July 5th or 6th.
That was tested at the scene and the field tested positive for blood.
And then what my question is, because your report says nothing about it, did you swab it, bag it, tag it, and send it off to the crime lab?
If it is not in my report, then I did not swab it, nor did I collect it.
Okay. So if it wasn't swabbed and sent to the crime lab, we have no idea whose blood that supposedly is, or even if it is actual human blood.
Correct.
Now, you also had talked about with Mr. Fogus, there was another stain, you called that stain 3, and it was negative, correct?
Yes, sir.
Then there was also what you had reported being stains 2 and 4, but they were too small for testing.
Correct.
Okay.
Well, okay, so Johnny, doesn't exactly help for it to be her blood. I think it does, because it puts a lot of doubt onto the state's case, because here's the state putting all this evidence in and just leaving it out there. And I mean, I know they're not like saying flat out that it's Gary's, but they're not saying that it's Melody's, right? So clearly they know it's Melody's, but they're not saying it's Melody's. They're waiting for defense to come in on cross and expose that it's Melody's, right? So it makes the state look a bit shifty. So why are they hiding that it's Melody's, right? So what's Melody doing dripping blood all over the place? Right? What's that got to do with it? There needs to be some explanation for that, because otherwise, why is the state even bringing it in? What's the relevance of this blood dripping all over the place if it's Melody's? What's that got to do with it? Because in the opening statement, the state was all talking about the possibility of him being shot in the basement and somehow being brought out to the burn pile. Like, this was their whole case hinges around this being the scenario, yet it's her blood. What? So what, we need the defense to bring this out of the lead investigator of the case? What? No, he's not the leading investigator. What is he? The lead crime scene technician or whatever he is. And he made him say that on the stand. He made him testify to say that he was in charge of that crime scene. It just all looks really fishy. We were led to believe it was his, half Irish, right? We were. Yeah, and so it was up to the defense to bring it out that it wasn't his. Yeah. Scott played the cops like a fiddle. It seems this way. You inferred whose blood it was. I think the jury would feel like it was Gary's. I think I'm speaking as if I was sitting on the jury, I would feel like I was led to believe it was Gary's. That's just me.
All right, 232.
Only one dead dude. Yeah, right, half Irish.
Oh, because I was just confused about this. So, stage 232, the ultraviolet shirt. This is still the red shirt, just under ultraviolet line.
Yes, sir.
Let me see if there's...
Well, that hasn't come into evidence
so
yet.
131
so
shows the shirt, the red shirt, and then that's it under ultraviolet light, correct?
We'll leave that.
Okay. Now, you were talking with Mr. Fogus that blood is the only thing, and I'm maybe paraphrasing, blood is the only thing that will glow brown under ultraviolet light. Is that what you meant?
No, it doesn't fluoresce. Not found where blood fluoresces under ultraviolet light.
So blood doesn't fluoresce under ultraviolet light.
Correct.
Okay. So presumably,
Well, okay,
assuming what
so-
you're implying is
so
that
wait a
surely
minute,
that some of these
right,
other...
Okay, so Garrett Pace. So the state isn't at a point of the case where they have someone qualified to testify as to whose blood that is. Right. So they should have objected just then. They should have objected to this man on the stand saying that was Melody's blood. Why didn't they object? They should have. If he can't testify to it, then he shouldn't have spoken to that at all. Right?
spots were potentially blood.
They could potentially be, yes.
Okay, so I'm assuming when you put this light on this shirt, you would then pull out those handy little, what do you call them? OB test kits? The OB-TIS?
The hexagon OBTIS kits.
Yeah, okay. You pulled out one of those and tested those spots, right?
No, sir.
Okay. You just did it on that one little spot where we had previously identified kind of in the middle of the shirt.
Correct.
Okay. So any of these other spots you didn't test, and you're not familiar with what, if anything, came back from the crime lab?
We did not test those for field presumptive positive or negative testing in our lab. It's a documentation, and then if it's sent off to the lab, we let the crime lab do their testing on it.
Okay. And but you don't know what the crime lab testing was?
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's go to the RTV. Now, a lot of the RTV stuff, this photograph, this is when you brought it over to the jail, right? Which you call it your lab, but your lab's at the jail.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is brought over to the lab. You actually did a lot of the Blue Star testing actually at the residence, right?
Lieutenant Stewart did get samples out there for us.
Okay. Well, that's what Lieutenant Stewart just did. Just took the photographs that you were doing the actual Blue Star.
Not at the house. All my Blue Star was done here at the lab.
Okay. Do you know who did any Blue Star at the house? If anybody.
If anybody, it was the GBI.
Okay.
Oh, we saw bones. Oh, yeah.
Let me ask you this, just while, because I know you had to go up the chain of command to, I'm assuming, hire Dr. Gooding to come out here to remove the remains, right? Like you had to call Ballard, Ballard had to call Captain Pinion, and Captain Pinion had to give the okay, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And somebody, I'm not 100% sure, I don't know if it was you, or was it Lieutenant Ballard, made the decision to call out the GBI, Lana Coffey. Who made that call?
Lieutenant Clark.
Lieutenant Clark. Right. What was Lieutenant Clark role in this?
He was the persons unit lieutenant. So
We
he was
saw
the-
Skull.
You kind
yeah.
of got a deep voice, so a little louder.
I'm sorry, he was the persons unit commander.
The persons unit?
Crimes against persons.
Oh, crimes. Okay, crimes against person. So he was that commander. So he made the call to call out Lana Coffey.
Well, but I had to start with him because it was done outside of my purview.
Okay, so he's over here and him or somebody made that decision.
Yes, sir.
They didn't ask you.
Correct.
All right. Even though you're the lead crime scene guy.
Correct.
Correct. All right. How many crime scenes? I know you said you'd worked in Gwinnett and stuff like that. How many of these investigations, larger investigations, have you done being a Cherokee?
Probably a dozen or so large-scale investigations to this magnitude.
Yeah, that's what I'm not talking about the little things. Have you seen the sheriff's office call out the GBI before?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Have you seen the sheriff's office call out the GBI to essentially conduct the investigation?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Do you know why the GBI was not called in to conduct this investigation?
Because we could do our own.
Okay. Who makes that decision? And if you don't know, you don't know. I understand if that's above your pay grade, but to the best of your knowledge, who makes that decision?
To call the GBI?
Yeah.
Well, that would come from the command staff.
The command staff?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. So, jumping into the RTV. With that, oh, I lost my swab. You had done some swabs on the RTV, right? Especially the L2 shifter. At least one swab that you had done. We actually don't have, there's no photographs of the R2 shifter, at least that are in evidence. So, Mr. Fogus had put up what is 266. All right? And I'm assuming here in the top left-hand corner on the gate of the Kubota, that's where you're saying is maybe blood.
Yes,
So
sir.
that's what Blue Star is telling you, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I'm assuming, and again, immediately you see that, you got to swab it to send it off to the ground line, right?
No, sir.
Okay. Why not?
Why?
Because those two particular little marks were not large enough stains to collect a sample. We saw the chemiluminescence over the entire, we sprayed the entire tailgate area.
Yeah.
Those were the only, actually there's a little third little dot right
Yeah,
there.
right here. Well, why not take your Q-tip, long Q-tip, rub it on there and see if you can get DNA and send it off?
Because we did not at that time.
Okay, so essentially we may have blood, but we don't know, right?
Correct.
Now that would be the same, Mr. Fogus has shown you right here, a little bit of this. You didn't swab this, you didn't try to collect it to send it off to see about that, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now what about, there's no photographs and there's nothing in your report, what about the actual bed of the RTV? There's no indication there was any testing done in that, right? You didn't do any testing in that.
We did not.
Ooh.
You essentially just sprayed the Blue Star around the bed, correct?
Well, we have it, it goes into the bed as well.
Okay, you didn't see any blood in there.
We did not get any chemiluminescence reaction.
Okay, from the bed
Huh.
of the RTV, just so the record too.
Yes, sir.
That would be where it would be.
So, this
You
tractor.
idiot.
Now, when you were doing this, because your report doesn't, at least your initial report that I have doesn't talk about in super detail. It's not bad. I'm not thinking you wrote bad report. It's not bad. It's just not detailed. So, like with this tractor, and so I mean, you're saying that this is a little bit of blood, or could be blood on the top of the tractor. When did y'all do this testing at the jail?
I believe this was done several days after we finished our work at the actual house.
Okay, so this is y'all had to load up the tractor in the RTV, haul it over to the jail, and keep it there before And then if you just tested it a couple days later.
Well, I think we also had to get search warrants to do our processing, I believe.
Okay. And yet again with this wasn't swabbed and collected and sent to the crime lab for identification, correct?
Correct.
Judge, I've got probably about another maybe another 10 minutes or so. That's whatever you want to do. The towel that was collected. You just did the testing on this towel. You didn't look at the towel, correct?
Well, I mean, it was in the back of the RTV, but yes, we tested it.
Okay. And it's what your statement is that this is blood.
It's
Or is that it's presumptive for blood because of blood star? Okay. Now, did this go to the crime lab? This towel?
I don't know if it did or not.
Okay. Are you aware of any towels and hand or washcloths, I guess, towels and washcloths that did make it to the crime lab?
No, sir.
Okay. If the crime lab tested a towel that the state believed had blood on it, it's a fairly good assumption that's the towel, isn't it?
We'll go with fairly good assumption, yes, sir.
Okay. Now this changing things. So how come, like you got the Chase 268, just on the, you can't see it on the TV screen, but I can on the computer monitor. I can see that it's the towel. Okay. So, and then you change the settings and stuff so that you can actually see the blue star, right?
Yes, sir.
So, all right. Now, why do you have to do that on this, but you didn't have to do that on the tractor?
We had enough ambient light in the evidence bay. There's a single emergency light that must remain illuminated in our evidence bay.
Mm-hmm.
That provided enough light for the camera to capture the chemiluminescence. When we did the towels in the lab, we can turn off all our lights. And so we were trying to adjust our cameras out to pick up the reaction and see the outline of the towel.
I'm confused. I thought you need total darkness to be able to see blue star. Okay. If I sprayed it right here on the table, let's just, there's blood there.
Duh.
Would I see it light up?
Well, if there's blood on the table, we would need to use the blue star.
Okay, fine. There's blood on the table, I wiped it off, now I spray the blue star on there.
It would need to be dark in here to see the chemiluminescence, and we would use the ambient light in order to adjust the camera to take the picture.
Okay, so basically, you have to get the light setting to a certain point to allow you to be able to see it. But it's not total darkness.
Correct.
Okay.
We're shooting on full manual functions on our camera.
Okay, so why don't you, for some of those towel photographs, instead of manipulating the contrast and the brightness of the photograph, just take it somewhere so you can actually take a proper photograph?
Because if you keep reapplying blue star, you'll lose the reaction. And so we have to try our best in our reaction time, because if you keep saturating the towel, you're not going to get a reaction at that point.
Well, wouldn't it be a smart idea to do the testing the first time in a place where you know you have the proper light?
We did in our lab.
I mean, obviously not if you got to sit there and change the settings on the photograph to be able to see it. And you don't need to do it on all of them.
Yeah, and what we did is acceptable.
I didn't ask if it was acceptable.
Moving and
Let's
changing
make it
it.
easy.
It did.
Well, no, because it's not in a written. You have manipulated the photograph by taking out what it actually is so you can see something, right?
Mhm.
Exactly. You didn't have to do that with the tractor because the tractor is in a proper spot to be able to see what you're trying to see, right? It has enough light to be able to see it.
Yes.
Okay, but you're testing the towel in a place that you're intentionally testing it there, and you can move it. I mean, it's a towel. You can pick it up, move it wherever you want to, and you can move it somewhere else so you would not have to manipulate the photograph. Correct.
Well, I could see the reaction in my camera, and I could see it in my lab.
But we just can't see it in any of your non-manipulated photographs, right? Like 268. You see any luminescence?
I do.
Okay.
Okay. I love that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Judge, if we can, I'd like to stop there. I don't want to let him go just yet, so I may come back tomorrow and cross, that's all right.
Don't let him go yet.
Anything else?
I ain't
All right,
done
we'll
with
break for
him.
now. Same instructions I gave you yesterday. Let's get here I've been informed by the folks that are going to be monitoring your parking spaces, wherever they were. I think I was wrong. They were outside, right? But anyway, or out, not underneath the parking deck. But wherever they were, apparently y'all found them. They're not going to be there before 8:30 to man it. So y'all get here between 8:30 and 8:45. There'll be a parking space for you, so you don't have to get here earlier. And we'll be up and running at 9 o'clock. Remember, don't look up anything about the case, anyone about the case, any people, witnesses. Don't Google any terms that you have heard in the case so far. Don't
Google burning
anything,
skulls.
because you're going to find stuff about this case if you do, because it's gaining traction and you don't really want to know anything
Gaining
about it, or you
traction.
can't know anything about it. Y'all can look all that up when we're done, and there'll be a million hits on it by then.
I
All right,
bet.
with that.
We're
anything
going
else?
viral,
All right,
chat.
don't be excused.
All right. Lawyer seems good. Guess we'll see what went wrong. Yeah, look, I'm not really sure what he's trying to prove there. What's he after here? Trying to say there's no blood on the towel. I think he's just trying to show that the investigation was done shoddily. I think that's more it. Like why take one thing into a different space in order to photograph it when you had perfectly ample opportunity to photograph it in a space where you could have seen the reaction if you were going to get the reaction. I feel like he's kind of beaten a dead horse. More to the point, like maybe he's going to get to this tomorrow. There's so many things that they could have tested that they didn't. And he did start to talk about that. Like he started to talk about, like, for example, the inside of the bed of the trailer. Like, why would you not go to more effort to test that, for example? I'm hoping that they're going to talk about testing the drains like we were talking about yesterday or last stream. Was it David Renault? Sorry, I struggle with your second name, David. But David came into chat and talked about the fact that the drains and the bathroom in the barn where Scott was living weren't tested. And in the sentencing where Melody lost her shit, she spoke about how did they run out of Blue Star? They should have tested more, like they should have done more testing. So maybe that's where he's going with all this. Maybe he's trying to just show that this guy who was in charge of the crime scene, he was doing things in a haphazard manner. He could have done it better. But this going on about the towel and that, is he wasting time? Is he just boring the jury? I don't know. He's just showing lousy investigative work. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get at. Beating a dead horse, like burning a kind of burning a dead body. Exactly. Now, so guys, yeah, it's a bog standard tactic. This is the thing though, right? I feel like sometimes when lawyers go down this path and they just push and push and push to try and show that someone's incompetent, they can really rub the jury up the wrong way, and they can bore them with irrelevant kind of stuff, where if they just get to the point and go, look, there's a whole part of the property that you didn't look at. Why? Yeah, that, because I mean, clearly there is a reaction on that towel. There is a reaction. What does it mean is a good question. I'd love for them to bring up the fact that Blue Star or luminol, it reacts to bleach and things as well, right? It reacts to other stuff besides just human/mammal blood. Maybe defense doesn't want to bring that up because juries tend to think of bleach and that as being a cleanup material, but people do use bleach. Like, people do use that kind of thing just in regular everyday life. Never rub the jury up the wrong way. Oh, it's Roe. Okay, I'll remember that. Thank you. They didn't test those vehicles thoroughly enough, it seems. No. And then, yeah, like as David Rowe said, they missed a whole part of the property, i.e. Scott's bathroom. Okay. Right. So next time we do this, I want to take a little bit of a detour, and I want to watch one of two things. I definitely want to watch the juror interview, and I want to watch the interview with the two defense attorneys, right? Because why not? We can do whatever we want. We can do things out of order. We can watch stuff. Why not? We've already got like information that we know that we wouldn't have known if we were watching it beginning to end anyway. Definitely, I think the juror interview is interesting because uh, the things this woman said really irked me. I think that I don't know if she was the foreperson or not, but she seemed to be someone who was just absolutely for sure this woman is guilty, and she may have been someone who was very influential in the jury room towards the people who were undecided or not guilty. So it's only about a 10-minute interview, and it's with Julie Grant, who's just my favorite person. Yeah, so we might watch that next time and then go back into testimony just for a little bit of a break from the courtroom. And yeah, we'll have that in our minds when we are watching it. Cool. Uh-oh, irked Hella. Say it isn't so. Well, she says a narcissist. We all know that. Horseradish shows up with blue side too. Really? It reacts to iron. So what about rust on the tractor? What? Oh, really? Okay, I'm going to be super annoyed if the defense didn't know that and didn't say so. That's actually really important. Really important. Okay. All right, so guys, I'm going to send you over to Publicly Buzz now. They are doing the drone investigation, and I am like, what is going on with these drones? Is this for real? Has anyone actually seen the drones? Like, can someone in stream now in chat, can you tell me, has anyone actually eyeballed one of these drones? I want to know. Has anyone eyeballed a drone? Like one of these like psyop drones in the US, or is it just all not like make believe? Well, you're not in the US, Farris. They were all over Long Island. And why did you see one, Caleb? I'm finding it really hard to get my head around this whole drone thing. Any stream tomorrow, Dali isn't because of his modem. I think he'll probably have it fixed by then. But yeah, probably I'll stream tomorrow. Probably might do another one of these. Tomorrow is my today is Tuesday. Tomorrow is my Wednesday. So yeah, I might do another one of these. I need to get prepared for my Australian Christmas stream, by the way, though, and I need help. So anyone who's a member and you're in our Discord, chuck me ideas, chuck me questions about Aussie Christmases, and I'll try and find stuff to share for the Christmas stream. And Aussies, please help me out with things to share for the Aussie Christmas stream, please. Here's our list of guests. We have Andrew Brunker. We have Sean, potentially criminal, hopefully an FMM 2.0, Dina. We have David. We have Ilya. We have Andrea Burkhardt. We have... Who am I starting to miss now? Steve Gosney. There's more than that. Oh, Nick Starrow, Kat Not Williams. There's probably more. I can't even remember them all. I feel really bad for people I've missed. Anyway, I'll be putting out a tweet and a community post with all the names. But there's still more. There's still more. It's going to be huge, everybody. It's going to be huge. Oh, and some weirdo in Arizona. I said you already. I already said you. Stop being such a whiner. Jeez. Yeah, I heard they were huge. Huge. Maybe they're huge because Trump won. I said Sean. I said Sean and Dina. Hopefully Dina. We got to like pressure her. Yeah, we have to pressure her to be on. Yeah, Branka, Sean, Steve, David, Nick. They're my five lawyer mates, and Andrea. yeah, I keep forgetting. And Katna Williams and Dali. I've got a couple others up my sleeve. Yeah, anyway, I'll write a list. But yeah, it's going to be packed. It's a packed panel, everybody. We're going to have an awesome time. And I know it's a little bit sad at the moment. But it is also Christmas. So we have to spread the love around for Christmas. And yeah, my condolences to the family of Jeff. Sad moment. And also those of us who have been following the Zachariah Anderson case, I just wanted to say Jeff was a fighter for the injustice of Zach's case, and I'm very sad that he won't be here to see Zach come out of prison and join us for a celebration one day. He will be here in spirit. So with that, I'm going to send you all off to Publicly Buzzed, Steve, and say hello, Raid, when you get there. And time for the song. Thanks for hanging out today, guys.
Her name was Ella. She was an Aussie. She was a fake lawyer from the future. She got on YouTube and made some live streams. Her co-host is Donnie and she dances sometimes. The words are always so loud and because she's an 803.